Hey Leo, thanks for the lemon. Hello Reef Daddy, if you're still here. Trying to get set up here. I haven't done a normal, I don't know, shouldn't say normal. I haven't done a old-fashioned OBS live stream in a million years. I think it's been since last year, actually. Hey ZJ. Night owls unite. Yeah, I was trying to wait till it was so late that there'd be nobody on. It's kind of my old-fashioned tradition that I have done since the old days where I stream when I know I'm not going to get a big crowd. But then there's a crowd. What are you all doing here? It's going to be a very chill editing stream, probably. I've been wanting to get back into doing this, my Bible editing, because it's kind of important for my whatever spiritual growth or mental health and stuff, and I thought it would help to live stream it. Just I don't know if I'll live stream it every time I do my editing, because I kind of want to do editing every day, but I'm not likely going to live stream every day, but I am going to do it this time. Kutrang! Howdy, howdy. Wow, everybody's showing up today. This is weird. This is really weird. On various platforms. I don't think all the chats are working. It's annoying me. I don't think Valora is working for some reason. I'm not sure what to do about that. And Blaze doesn't seem to be working. Let me try that again. I wonder if I have to... Okay, Blaze is working. Let me see if Valora is working again all of a sudden. Oh, I'm going to turn this music off. That's just for the intro screen. Let me, Wahaha, can't escape the Council of Night Owls. Oh, you just wait. I'll scare you all away. Okay. So yeah. I was toying around with two different ideas for today's stream. I have a bunch of readings I was gonna do, sort of like a thing related to the DLive going offline at the end of this month, but then I also want to do some editing, so I haven't decided if I'm going to do the reading first regarding the demise of DLive, or if I'm going to do that at the end. I'm not sure. I'm kind of all a mess like usual. I don't really have a good plan for what I'm doing here. Why is it doing these black boxes? I guess that's just a weird problem. Linux related. Anyway. So yeah, this will be a very boring stream, nothing special. In fact, it's intentionally boring so that I can not draw a crowd. But yeah. So this is an app I've been working on. I don't remember when I started it, but it was quite a while ago, sometime last year. It's completely made with AI, so I didn't really make this, except that I very specifically fed into it exactly how I wanted it to be. And since I'm a former developer, I have maybe a little bit more ability to do that than the standard person. One of the things I've been wasting time on, not necessarily recently, but a few months ago, was making a bunch of visual themes for it. I just got totally obsessed with it. So this is my original theme. Oops, no, it's not. This is my original theme that I made originally. And then I added over 300 themes. I just got like completely obsessed because it's so easy to make all of these CSS themes. So this entire huge scrolling list is all the themes that I made. It's completely pointless. Waste of time. Perfect background stream that I'll still be paying attention to. The red made it look like a Pokedex. It's actually supposed to be, what do you call those? It says it on there. I do have a Pokemon. Let me see if it looks similar to what you might be expecting. Anyway, this one is supposedly themed after Pokemon Red, Blue a little bit, but But actually, that one that was on there is Viewmaster. I couldn't remember the name. So it's supposed to look like the old school, like 1970s, or I don't know how old it is, but the Viewmaster thingies, if you know what those are. It's kind of cool whenever you click, it does this little shake thing. Because like if you know what a Viewmaster is, it has this little pull tab thing on there to switch the little disk inside there to a new picture, and whenever you do that, it kind of moves the screen a little bit. So that's like an effect that I had it built in. A lot of these have these real weird little effects in there just for kind of a throwback or nostalgia. But yeah, there's 300 of these things. It's ridiculous. Let's see if I can show some of the more interesting ones. I could scroll through them all, but it would take forever. It's mostly 80s and 90s nostalgia themes. So some of them I don't even care about. Like I didn't watch all the 80s and 90s cartoons and shows and stuff, but I made a lot of themes for them. Like just as an example, this is from Monsters. It's an old cartoon, which I don't think I ever watched, but it has the color scheme and some nods to that. But yeah, every single one is like really unique. This one is kind of, I think this one is supposed, I can't remember. Some of them have names that don't relate, but I think this one is sort of like Looney Tunes style or something. But yeah, anyway. And then some of them are just generic like UI, like interface things. So like this would be sort of like a, I can't remember, Windows, what was after XP? I don't know. Anyway, it's like sort of like a Windows vibe on the certain ones, on the certain things. Got Airwolf. I actually watched that show with the helicopter. We got all sorts of stuff in here. Got Akira, the anime. Got Alf. I spent a little bit more time on this one, tried to make it have like a fur texture. All Dogs Go to Heaven. I had never really liked that movie, but it's here. I don't know how this necessarily looks like that, but some of them are really like, well, you just look at it and be like, what? How does that relate? But anyway, I could go on for hours just showing all these. Let me see. One of my favorite ones is the 1989 Batman theme. So this is based on the Michael Keaton, Jack Nicholson movie, more or less. Kind of has the curved, dark buttons and stuff, sort of like the Batmobile. Millennium Come Before XP did Vista. Oh, Vista. Yeah, I think that one that I was showing was kind of based on the Vista era. I don't know. I can't remember. I have so many themes I lost track. Here's Bert from Sesame Street. Got his signature striped shirt in there. Got all sorts of stuff. But yeah, Vista came after XP. I kind of lost track of all those OSs. Got Big Bird. Look at that. It's Big Bird yellow with the like pink accents for his tongue and stuff. The crazy thing is I just asked AI to make all of these pretty much. So I'm like, give me a Big Bird theme. And I gave it a little bit of guidelines and it just did all the CSS. So it's amazing what you can do these days. New phone. Who dis? Blast processor is believe Sega Genesis. Can't remember. Isn't that what had the blast? Blockbuster Video. You know, I just got it all right here. You know. Funny thing is, a lot of them you can almost tell at a glance what it's trying to do. Like this is definitely Blockbuster colors and everything. Oh, we got Barbie. You know, you gotta have at least one girl theme, like one token girl theme. So we got Barbie in here. I would never use it, of course, but we got it. We got you covered. Blockbuster almost feels like it does. Yeah, it's very similar. But I could just like duplicate that and make it IKEA. But yeah, we got lots of stuff. Got Elmo. Like all jiggling because he has his stupid Elmo world kind of jiggly drawing stuff. I can't stand Elmo really. Like he was okay in the beginning, but he kind of ruined Sesame Street in my opinion. But Ernie. I like Ernie. Got a few anime shows. I actually don't watch anime, so I have no idea if these have any visual relation to the shows that they represent. They might or might not. Got a lot of video games in here. Got Final Fantasy VII. This is like what the kind of... Oh, this one must have like a bug in it. I must have... yeah, I need to fix this one. It shouldn't have this weird stuff going on there, but... anyway, I'm just... I am just going off on a tangent. Got Game Boy. We got it all, man. We got it all. Oh, got GeoCities. Old school. I had a coworker who was named Ernie but had a similar personality as Bert. That's funny. I always liked Ernie because he just like... I don't know. It's kind of funny. In the old Sesame Street, there's characters that weren't really politically correct. Like Ernie was always super rude and almost bullied Bert in a way, just kind of always laughing at him and sort of playing jokes on him. I always thought that was hilarious. Who else do we have from Sesame Street? Oh, we got Grover. There's the good old Grover theme. We got Cookie Monster in here somewhere. This one actually has like little cookies in it, and it's got his fur and everything. I need to fix it though. It's supposed to... I was trying to fix the CSS. It's like chopping off the background right there. Anyway. No, wait. I think those Muppets and their names got mixed up. What you talking about, Willis? I'm trying to think. Oh, Oscar. Is it under Oscar or the Grouch? Let's see. It's under Oscar. Got the garbage can theme with a little bit of green thrown in. I even have some of the more obscure characters. I can't remember their names. Like, I think Zoe is one of them. Like, character that maybe some people know, but it's like that girl character. Got her in there. Got Yoda from Star Wars. We just have everything. Ernie is the silly one, the orange one, and Bert is the stern yellow one. Yep, that's right. Yep. Anyway, World Warrior, which is supposed to be Street Fighter 2. Anyway. Virtual Boy. We got Virtual Boy. That one's pretty spot on. Yeah. Anyway. Teddy Ruxpin. We got Telly. That's another Sesame Street character. Simpsons. Oh, this one's pretty cool. I actually did a little bit of manual work on this one. Spent a little bit more time on it. I wanted there to be like clouds. You know how the opening has clouds in it, so got some scrolling clouds on the top. Sailor Moon. There's another kind of a girl theme, I guess. Rubik's Cube. Oh, I think Rosita is another Sesame Street character. I can't really picture exactly what she looks like, but that's what she looks like apparently. I was going to say that weirdly enough, I remember what Planet Alf came from, even all these years ago. Planet Alf? I don't know what I know what Alf is, but I'm not sure what Planet Alf is. For the nerds in the room, we got QBasic, of course. That one's pretty spot on too. Most of them are pretty good. Like you can kind of tell what they're going for. I say they because AI made these. I kind of gave it some guidance, but Optimus Prime. Anyway, oh, Never Ending Story. That's one of my favorite movies. What planet did Alf come from? Melmac, of course. What are you talking about, man? Everybody knows that. Something like that. Something like that. I started putting a bunch of sitcoms in there too, like 80s and 90s sitcoms. So we got like MASH. And a bunch of others. Got MacGyver. Little House on the Prairie. You can't forget that one. That's a classic. Light, bright, light, bright. I can't remember how that theme goes, but we got it. Got Voltron, Lion Force here. Legos. Got Legos. Labyrinth. That's a classic. I just started watching that again recently. I didn't make it through. I have a hard time watching movies these days. I used to like watching movies for nostalgia, just kind of rewatch movies that I've watched a million times. I have a really hard time doing that these days. Got Knight Rider. It's even got the little kit AI speaker thingy going on across the top. Kirby. Nintendo game. Hot Wheels. That one's pretty good. I like the font and the like little flamey colors. Anyway, got a lot of themes here. It's kind of crazy. Oh, I like this one. I told it to do like Hanna-Barbera, and I left it kind of wide open, and it kind of chose to do like a Flintstones theme, even though there's like a million Hanna-Barbera cartoons. But I thought that one looks pretty cool. Green Hill Zone from Sonic the Hedgehog. That was pretty good. Got lots of stuff, man. We got it all. We got Goonies. X marks the spot. Oh, by the way, they're apparently making Goonies 2, and it's going to be like a lot of the same actors all grown up and stuff. Supposedly. I don't know. It might just be a rumor, but that would be cool. GameCube. Anyway, I'm going to stop wasting time showing these themes and do a little bit of editing, I think. And if I'm going to do that reading thing I was talking about, I'll probably do it at the end of the stream because I want to do some editing. So this is what I do. I used to do this kind of daily, or at least for a while I wasn't doing this hardly at all, and I'm way behind, but these are all my like WordHike live streams where I read the Bible out in nature, and I like to come back and edit them down so I get rid of all the mistakes and all the extra walking around and stuff and just cut it straight to the chapters of the Bible. And so I'm going to work on that. And I want to get back to doing this daily because it kind of also works as my personal devotion time and Bible meditation and stuff. So really enjoyed it and I want to get back into it. And I decided to live stream it today, but I don't know if I'll do that on the regular. Probably not, but who knows? We'll see. So I'll just kind of go through my process here. They Moses told them. Joshua. Okay, 319. Got in on the popular 80s movies, but a decade late, I liked Lucas a little more than the Goonies. Lucas? I don't even know what that is. The only thing that comes to mind with Lucas for me is George Lucas. I don't know what Lucas is. Yeah, some of the stuff doesn't age well. Like, I think a lot of the stuff doesn't age well for, like, if people are watching it nowadays, they just like, how could you like this trash? I don't know about Goonies. I've not heard what people think about it. Like, for me, some of my favorites are Neverending Story and like Labyrinth. I don't know. Pretty much all the classics, it's hard for me to like pull them up from memory all of a sudden, but Goonies was pretty good. I can't say I was like a Goonies super fan. Like, I think it could have been a lot better, but it kind of captured that childhood adventure spirit. And there's, Flight of the Navigators, whatever. Some of those kind of movies. It had young Charlie Sheen, Winona Ryder, and Corey. Huh. I might have seen it. It's not like ringing a bell for me for some reason. What's it about? Like, is it an adventure kind of style movie, or I don't know. Actually, I probably haven't seen it. It seems like I would remember that if I had. I was more into the like 80s cartoons and then like the 90s ones a little bit. Then I kind of grew out of all that, I guess. It just didn't keep up with the times. Pretty much I'm stuck back in the 80s in many respects, as far as like I like the old video games and cartoons and whatnot. Not that I watch that stuff anymore, but that's where I kind of think of the time period I think of. Okay, so I need a little text editor. Got 319. So what I'm doing here is I'm just putting timestamps to know where to cut this. So I usually give it 3 seconds, so 319. Corey is a bullied kid who got a crush on the new girl in school. He wanted to impress her before his high school reputation got to her. Gotcha. Yeah, I don't think I've seen that. I don't really like the rom-coms or whatever, or I don't know. Maybe that sounds like that kind of movie. New girl was Carrie Green. Gotcha. Chapter 2. They had it's a altar witness, for they said, "It is a witness between us that the Lord is God." Okay, so 10:27, add 3 seconds. I have to like pay attention here. I'm going to write down the wrong numbers and screw this up. Long. I don't know how busy it'll be today. $11. So we do 10:57. It was kind of a sad movie, huh? You'll have to look it up sometime. Or no, you don't have to be quiet at all. There's nothing, in fact, there's nothing really to listen to at this point. Eventually I'm going to get to the point where I'm actually playing this and doing the editing. Right now I'm just getting the timestamps for the chapter starts and stops, and I think I can remember at least one number and still chat. Joshua, great. Perish from this good land he has given you. 13:48. Israel. Joshua. Joshua. Hey Andreas, haven't seen you for 1 billion years. Like all the people are coming out of the woodworks. Like especially me, I'm literally standing in front of woodworks. Except, believe it or not, this is not happening right now. This isn't an IRL stream. Just have to give that disclaimer. I'm doing some editing on my Bible reading IRLs. Yep. I was kind of hoping that something like that would happen. Not on my stream necessarily, that a bunch of people would show up here. Like I enjoy seeing old friends, but I was kind of hoping that a bunch of like ancient streamers that used to stream on DLive would just suddenly show up at the last couple of weeks and just stream one more time. You know, like if you're on DLive, take a look at my recommended channel list on my about tab. Like, wouldn't it be cool if like all those people just showed up and streamed? That'd be sick. I will miss you the most, sir. Oh, come on. You're joshing me. Get it? Look. Do you understand the joke? I am editing Joshua from the Bible, so you're joshing me. Oh, okay. I actually tried to DM Cincy. Like, I was trying to think of a few people. I don't even know if Cincy is even around anymore, but I always thought he was a pretty cool GP. Kind of, I don't know, kept DLive on their toes back in the day. It'd be cool if he just showed up randomly again, but and you know, Gen C and you know some of those others would be cool. But I think most of those people have moved on so much that it's super unlikely that they're gonna want to come back even for a final farewell stream, because they're, you know, professional streamers and they got reputations to uphold and all that stuff. But I don't know, some of them might, for nostalgia, good time, good old time sake. You're the favorite streamer? Well, thanks, man. Gosh. Alrighty. Let's see. Okay, now this is 1653. Do a chapter 20. This kind of is amazing because I'm definitely one of the most all-time boring streamers on the platform. Like that is like my claim to fame. Consume you. And he just all the work still time, and it was kind of all these other people trying to do cool, interesting stuff, and then I purposely do my super boring streams. 52. Chap to the 2320. But yeah, that'd be so sick. Like just to have a proper send off of like all the old GPs. I mean, honestly, if DLive, like I shouldn't say, this sounds like a jab at DLive. I almost said like if DLive really cared, that's kind of harsh. But if DLive really wanted to have a good send off, they would almost like pursue those old GPs and be like, I don't know if they could, they can't like afford to pay them, but just, I don't know, at least like reach out to them and say, hey, I know we might not have ended on the best of terms, but we just wanted to let you know DLive is ending and we'd love to see you one last time, kind of like a goodbye party. You know, how sick would that be? That'd be awesome. Maybe they are planning some surprise thing like that, but I haven't heard about anything like that. It kind of just feels like it's just gonna like fade off, like it'll just April 30th and it's just gone. And that sounds, I mean, that's horrible, but I feel like that's what it's gonna be. I mean, there's some streamers that are doing stuff like Elfsar, for example, is planning a party stream this Saturday, by the way. So if you're, whether or not you follow Elfsar or know who he is, he's been around not quite as long as me, but probably around 6 years or so, and 5 or 6 years. I think he's been on the platform as long as any of us, but he started streaming a little bit later. Anyway, great guy, amazing artist, community leader, all that kind of stuff. So I think at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time on this Saturday, the 18th, 2 days from now. Check it out. Elfsar, ELFSAR. Okay, let me bring it up and there you go. Yeah, he's a cool guy. If you haven't met him already, I know you would like him. But anyway, he's known most of all people around and stuff for a long time too. And then I think Hi-Rez is planning something. I don't want to, you know, spoil it, or I don't know what he's planning, but I think he's going to do something. And I'm sure a ton of people are going to do their like last DLive streams, either any time between now and the end of the month when it all goes dark or whatever. And I suppose there's a slight chance some rich person in the community could make him an offer they can't refuse and buy it out and keep it going. But I personally doubt that will actually happen. But some people have expressed interest, but I'm not holding out hope for that necessarily. I've kind of personally moved on from DLive in the sense that it's not my only platform anymore. I kind of stream to a bunch of places that, and have for quite a while. So, oh, I wanted to test. I don't know why, but Valora doesn't seem to be... The chat doesn't seem to be working. I'll have to tell the maker of that app that I'm using about that. I don't know why that's not working. But that's annoying. Hopefully no one will watch on Valora because chat's not passing through for some reason. Let me check one more thing. Yeah, that's weird. Try popping it out one more time. I wonder if it needs to be on my profile page or something. Nope. Just doesn't work right now. Oh, well, whatever. Okay. Oh, yeah, let's get this bit down here. John chapter ending. I was toying around with the idea of doing like a piano stream for old time's sake, but I don't have my like a year ago or so I switched from Windows to Linux, and that like complicated a lot of my streaming setup. I had to like get OBS all set up again and a million other things, and I never really hooked up my piano since then, and I don't even know if Linux will recognize the MIDI stuff and all that. Plus the app that I use for the falling notes, Synthesia, is a Windows app, and I have like Wine installed on Linux, and I have Synthesia installed, but I just haven't like tested to see if the hardware connection works yet. I kind of want to get back into doing that occasionally. I don't think I'll ever get back to it like I did when I first started live streaming, but I might like do a surprise stream, not necessarily like before DLive ends, because that's like coming pretty soon, but just a couple weeks, but maybe sometime after, who knows. I'll have to relearn all the songs that I used to know because I haven't played in like 5 years, but anyway, that's a possibility. I thought it would be cool if I could get it set up before the whole DLive thing happened, but that's like coming so soon. And put my hand into his side, I will never believe. 8 days later, his disciples were once again inside with the doors locked, and Thomas was with them. Jesus came and stood among them and said, "Peace be with you." Then Jesus said to Thomas, "Put your finger here and look at my hands. Reach out your hand and put it into my side. Stop doubting and believe." Oh, I thought it was at the end. Yet have believed that Jesus is the Christ, the Son of God, and that by believing you may have life in his name. 28:10. Okay, I think that's it for this reading. Okay. Day, so I decided to take a... Okay, so I've written like over 100, I don't know, like 110 or something like Python scripts with AI. I've kind of embraced AI because I used to be a professional developer. I mean, I wasn't really that good at coding, but that's what I did for my job for like 15 years, long time ago. But I got so burnt out with coding that I can't really write code anymore. I mean, I could if I really, in theory I could, but I just, there's some kind of brain block. But around that, you know, ever since AI came out and it's gotten better at writing code, I've sort of embraced it just because I hate writing code anymore. So I've used it for a ton of that kind of stuff. I'm not really a fan of AI, to be honest. I wish none of this had ever happened. I wish the ring had never come to me, but, it's here. So what are you going to do? You know, you could be stubborn and like never use it, never touch it. And that's fine. I respect people with that conviction, but I use it for coding and that's about it. And, you know, just for general web searches and whatnot, but yeah, let me check, make sure. Okay, good. All right. So anyway, I have a million scripts. Let me see if I can even remember. There's so many of them. AV cuts. Okay, so this one is AV cuts. Like, yeah, I haven't done this in a while. FPS 30. Input file. I think it might work without that, but we'll just do it anyway. Oops. And then time, T for time. That's where I paste in my timestamps. And what this does is it does a lossless cut. So it detects what the encoder is, and it seeks out the keyframes and splits it right on the keyframe, so there's no data loss, so that it doesn't re-encode it. It's fairly fast for that reason, but it also, I'm not losing any video or audio quality in the process, so it's pretty cool in that sense. So this is just breaking out each chapter into a separate video and audio file. So now they're all in here. And then we got I can't remember what we got. We got Joshua 22. Can't remember how this works. Something like this. I don't remember if spaces matter. Let's see, probably not. This might not even be correct, how this script works. 22, 23, 24. Okay, that's not right. Okay, no. It's probably, even though I wrote this script, I don't remember how it works. As gives a minutes thing says, I wrote this script or something like that, but I don't know how it works. Oh, that's not. Does it give an example? I don't use this often enough to remember how it works. Comma-separated list of new file names to sequentially apply to. Maybe it doesn't need the quotes. Oh, and file names. I don't think it requires the extension, but maybe it does. I don't think so. Haven't used this script in a while. Oh, well. Kind of surprised it didn't work that first thing I tried. Let me check this here. Maybe it has to have double quotes, but I don't think so. I don't think that matters. Or maybe it, no, I don't know. One index pairs individuals, but you supplied 4 file name assignments. Oh. Oh, okay. I know what's happening. I forgot to go in the right folder. Okay, that's it. It would have worked the first time if I was in the correct folder. Okay. Doop. There we go. So that script just renames the files to what they should be. And then doopy doopy doo. You've received the spotlight. Earn points while you have the spotlight. I don't know what the spotlight is. Does that mean like I'm on the home page or something? Actually, don't know much about Blaze. I've only started streaming there kind of recently, and I haven't been live streaming at all lately, so I don't know how all the culture over there works at all. But that's cool. Thanks for the spotlight, whatever that is. Okay. So yeah, these are all cut up. So next, let's go. Now I can delete these. We have the individual edited files. Okay, next step is I do a denoising. So we do, this is another script I wrote, audio denoise all. So that'll denoise all of them, get rid of all the background noise. Uses an AI LLM thingy to get rid of all the background noise so that's just my voice. Takes a while, but it's worth it in the end. Oh, while I'm waiting for that, let me see. I have this other script. It's, what is it? VMG, I think. Yo, Angel. Long time no see. How you doing? Hope you're well. Yeah, VMG. I think it is. No, not VMG. BSG. I think. So we got Joshua. What was it? 22 to 24, I want to say. Yeah, 22, 24, and John 20. So this script that I'm running kind of in the background, not showing it, is making some SRT subtitle audio subtitle files for all of these chapters that I can use to synchronize into the thing. It's been a minute. We've been insanely busy with Beam 2.0. I've heard the rumors. I don't really spend a lot of time on Discord and stuff, so I don't know, like, maybe it's probably top secret and maybe you won't send out your email and announcement until it actually happens, but I haven't really been part of the rumor weed, so I have no idea what that's all about, but a big version jump sounds exciting. It's kind of amazing all the stuff that you guys have done without a big version jump, so if you're having a version jump, it kind of sets this expectation like, it's the whole new thing, but I don't really have a clue. But it sounds exciting. Sounds real exciting. Oh, one of the feedbacks, I tried to get everybody on from, I'm sure you've probably heard that DLive is ending the end of this month. And I put a little blurb on the DLive Discord about, hey, you all should, I literally said everybody should be streaming on Beam, if for no other reason because of their cool tech and restreaming built-in capabilities. And some of the, including one of the GPs on global partners on DLive, tried to get in to Beam. I think he did it live on stream. He's kind of showing people like, okay, let's try to get set up on Beam and whatnot. And one of the hurdles that he ran into is the whole credit card thing, which I don't fully understand that, but I think I got around that. I don't know how, but at one point I signed up and I don't think it has my credit card information. But just for your knowledge, I think that's kind of a mental hurdle for a lot of people because there is no other platform on earth that requires credit card information. So a lot of people are, understandably like hesitant. I don't know how I got in though, because I don't think I supplied mine and I'm on there, so whatever, but probably just outed myself like, oh, you're done. But yeah, anyway, I didn't hack anything. I just somehow got around it. But anyway, just to let you know, that might be an issue for for a bunch of people. So, let's see. Of course, I got in pretty early. Maybe it was before that became fully required. I don't know. Anyway. But yeah, it's kind of weird, to be honest. Kind of weird. All right, so got audio denoise. Did that finish? Yes. Okay, let's get those out here. I know there's like the sponsor thing too, like with the Logitech and other companies. I can't remember all of them, but maybe that had something to do with how. No way around it anymore. Gotcha. Yeah, because I mean, to be honest, I don't think I would sign up either because I don't like giving my credit card information out, except for like things like Amazon or whatever. But anyway, that's just some feedback for you. You take it or leave it. But like the global partner I was talking about, Cab 7 Ben, tried it and he was like, I don't want to give my credit card information. He kind of canceled the whole thing, and that was kind of an understandable thing. And that's probably what I would have done too. But anyway, just something to think about. I thought you were going to say that for advertising another platform, you were timed out or had your messages deleted. No, I don't think so. But yeah. Okay, so let's get these downloaded. Yeah, I mean, obviously you're not going to change it for just because I said it, but that's just some feedback to consider. You know, all those people that were trying to sign up kind of just backed out of it because of that. So it's one of those kind of roadblocks for hurdles for a lot of people. Okay, so let's see. What am I doing? Got those. I need the SRT files. Let's come back over here, download those. I need to update this script so that I can choose the file names because it's assigns its own file names in my web script here that are kind of a nuisance. But yeah, I'm excited to hear the announcement whenever that gets released or whatever. Enjoy your stream. Take good care. Thanks, man. Thanks for dropping by. Hope your release is a smooth, error-free, bug-free, exciting growth thingamabob. All right, let's see. I have too many windows open. That's the problem. Kind of getting lost. But yeah, this is just a web script. I have a database of the entire Berean Standard Bible, and it. I wrote this script that I can just type the references, and it automatically generates SRT files. SRT files are probably the most common subtitle file. Subtitle meaning, like, you know, if you see a movie with subtitles, it is generated using files like these, where it just shows the text at the bottom of the screen, like on a international movie or something. And I'm using them for a similar purpose, but sort of a creative workaround for some of my editing stuff that I do. Okay, so those are all the SRT files. What else do I make? I make Odyssey has its own special video format requirements that you have to do, so I do a MB4 encode. This is another Python script I wrote. Let's see, MB4 encode. Oh man, it's been a while since I've used this. Let's just do the help. MP4 encode. I think this has profiles, doesn't it? Maybe this isn't even there. Yeah, there it is. Okay, P Odyssey. Okay, that's actually pretty easy. profile Odyssey, and then A for all. So it's just going to re-encode all of these to a lower bit rate that's H.264 instead of H.265 so that they're compatible for Odyssey uploads. It also makes them... I'm using Linux now, which Linux has a lot of issues with video encoders within browsers because they don't have like license agreements with the encoding thing, and they don't want to pay for it because Linux is all open source and whatnot, so they don't support H.265 in browser, so I have to convert these to H.264 so that they're playable for my editor, basically. Kyojiro, howdy, howdy. Dryas, I never see you again. What you talking about, Willis? Howdy, howdy, over on Blaze. This is goodbye. Are you heading out, Dryas? Thanks for dropping by. Appreciate seeing you again. Who knows? Maybe you'll show up with a random username on some other platform. If not, I appreciate all the friendship and Christian brotherhood over the years, and pray a blessing on your life that God would direct you and guide you into deeper relationship with him, and hopefully all of your life's plans and things align with his, and that everything goes well for you. But, thanks for being a friend, if it's truly goodbye. But yeah, I'm going to be streaming on a bunch of platforms. I don't stream nearly as regularly as I used to, but I'm going to stream every once in a while, and I might get back into it more regularly at some point, but right now I haven't been. But yeah, I'm on pretty much every platform out there, at least the major ones that most people have heard of. So, yep. Okay, we got those. I feel like I'm forgetting some steps. When I do this whole process more on a daily basis, I don't forget all this stuff. Kind of out of my routines. I have to kind of remind myself. I don't know if you'll stream. I will. I'll definitely stream, but you know. So I'm basically. Let me get the list. For anybody that's interested, I'm on pretty much every major platform. I'm on DLive, of course. I'm on Kick. I'm on Beam. I'm on Twitch. I'm on Trovo, which I believe is also going away. But I'm on Nemo TV. I'm on Party. I'm on Valora. I'm on Blaze. I'm on Odyssey, but I don't live stream there because their tech for live streaming is garbage and it doesn't work. But I still upload my replays there typically after I'm done. I'm on YouTube. I'm on Rumble. Oh, speaking of Rumble, I forgot to open my chat. So if anyone was there, I didn't see your messages. But I don't usually get a lot of activity there, but let me open that just in case. Oh, Leo's over there. Your messages, but I don't usually get a lot of activity. Whoops. There, but let me open that. Yeah, so pretty much everywhere for the most part. I'm not on social media active, me either. I don't do it. Yeah, so it's typically Flow or Flow Mix, FPHLOMIX on most platforms. But yeah, anyway, I don't really expect people to go find me or anything, but if you want to stay connected just in a friendship kind of way and just say hi from every once in a while, those are the places where I'll be. I'm this Bible editing stuff, this Bible video editing stuff that I do is sort of an eternal project because I'm so far behind that it'll probably take me a couple of years to get caught up. So I have a second channel. I guess I can see if I can find that. So bad at like pulling up these links and stuff, but let me I have my regular channel on YouTube, but I also have a second channel for my Bible edit stuff. I'll just throw that in chat just for fun, if I can figure out how to do anything anymore. This is my second channel where I throw up all the, I don't throw up, that sounds pretty bad, but I upload all of my edited videos from these edits. But anyway, but yeah, if you really want to, if anyone wants to find me, it's not that hard to find me. Just search for Flow or Flow Mix on most platforms. Okay. I don't have a link tree or anything because I've never been that intentional about like promoting my channel anywhere. I just figure whoever's meant to find it will find it, and I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay. So now we're going to do the actual editing. Took a million years to get there, but we'll at least do 1 day's worth of editing. I started thinking if I got back into more regular edits, I could like switch to a different theme every single time I do an edit, but I guess we'll do that for now. We'll start at the top and just do a chapter and then switch themes. So let's import this. John 20. Or no, let's do Joshua 22. I've added so many features to this that I can't remember like how long ago I live streamed demonstrating this app and what I've added since then. So I don't think I'm going to bother too much with doing any kind of massive demonstration, but I've added this custom ruler thing. I mean, it's really quite advanced, but I don't really feel like giving a demo of it. It's kind of pointless. Most people don't really care anyway, so. But what I'm doing is I'm just adding markers at the beginning and end. Oops. 22 was it? I think. And if I add those markers first before I load the subtitles in, then when I import this SRT file, it will automatically clamp to the edges of the zone that I set up. So each of these like blocks on the timeline represents a block of text. So if I click on it, it shows what block it is. Ew, I don't really like this theme that much because the font's a little bit too blocky for my taste. A little bit hard to read, but yeah, whatever. I need to like mute my phone here. Alerts. All right. And then there's this view where I can see them all at once. Okay, so basically what I'm doing is I'm editing it so that the subtitles match up with the reading. I don't know. There's no point to explain it. I'm just going to do it. And if anybody's actually interested in what I'm doing, like if I do this a bunch and somebody comes by and is like, oh, that's a cool editor, tell me how it works or something, I can explain it. But most people don't care, so I'm not going to spend much time explaining it. But basically I'm just sort of automating the spacing. Not automating, but like making the spacing between words and phrases and stuff consistent in sentences, so that the edit reads really smoothly and stuff. And I used to do this manually in Shotcut, which is just an open source video editor, but it's extremely unstable. And the Shotcut it crashes constantly. So that was getting on my nerves, and that's kind of what the impetus or the reason I decided to make this app in the beginning quite some time ago. It's because I was too frustrated with doing the editing, and it also took forever. So this saves me massive time. It still takes a lot of time, and I enjoy the process, the time that it takes, because it's kind of like my Bible study. So what I'll do is I'll just like listen to it at least twice, in order to locate all of the dictation mistakes and get the timing right and everything. And so while I'm doing that, I'm just kind of absorbing it in my brain and thinking about what I'm hearing and reading and stuff. I do a lot better with audio Bibles than like reading physical pages. I can't, my reading comprehension is pretty bad, but I really like listening to it.
Joshua chapter 22. Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh.
Okay, so there's a break there.
And told them, you have done all that...
So there's a mistake, so I have to cut that out.
You have done.
So a lot of this takes a while. All these lines that you see are my custom ruler that I designed. Basically tells me how wide the gap should be if it's between a word, or if it's space after a comma, or space after a colon, or a semicolon, or a sentence. And so I just use this to kind of like figure out how much to cut out. It's kind of hard to explain, but it's actually quite efficient. All of these are tied to keystrokes, so it's very quick editing.
You have done all that. Man.
I have pretty bad at reading too. I mean, not just my reading comprehension, but my ability to read out loud. So I make a million mistakes. If you've watched my reading live streams, you would know, but so might take me a few times to get this correct here.
You have done all that Moses, the servant of the Lord, commanded you. And you have obeyed. And you have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you.
So I have these like snapping things where I'm just pushing like keystrokes like ASDF on the keyboard. So my left hand is just like on the keyboard pushing a bunch of stuff. And so it's snapping to the edge of like audio. It detects where the audio gets quiet below a certain threshold. And that's why I do the denoising step beforehand, so that all the gaps between stuff are pretty much flatlined. And it works a little bit better for my editing purposes. But in the final edit, I actually leave all the noise in just so that it has kind of a ambiance, or just kind of like the, you know, whatever natural sounds that are happening in the live stream. But for the editing, it helps to cut it all out. Like if I didn't cut that out, you'd see all this like waveform in the middle here too. So it'd be very difficult to visualize where it's like starting and stopping and stuff.
Commanded you. All this time you have not deserted your brothers, up to this very day. But have kept the charge given you by the Lord your God. And now that the Lord your God has given your brothers rest as he promised them, you may return to your homes in the land that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you across the Jordan. But be very careful to observe the commandment and the law that Moses, the servant of the Lord, gave you. To love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways.
Oh, I love this verse. Actually, I don't know, a couple months ago, I think it was, I meditated on this specific. Actually, it wasn't this verse. I want to say this same verse is also in another book of the Bible or somewhere else, and it's kind of repeated several times, but I don't know, I really like it. The commandment that the Lord gave you, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to keep his commandments, to hold fast to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. The part that really stood out to me is the hold fast thing, mainly because I was like, what a weird expression. Like I kind of know what it means, just, you know, English is my native language. I've heard that expression, but when you actually like sit down and think about it, hold fast. It's a weird expression, but I did a big ol' in-depth study on the Hebrew of that word. I think it's like davak or something like that. Anyway, it's basically in modern Hebrew, how they use it now, it's the word for glue, basically. So it basically, one way you could say it is glue yourself to God, like stay really close to him, don't let go. And the old English that's used there, hold fast, is kind of outdated. Like we don't really speak that way anymore. At least unless you're kind of a literary poet type person, but most people don't say hold fast. It sounds like a nautical term, like hold fast to the rigging or something. But another way to think of it is fasten. So like fasten your safety belts, or a fastener. So a fastener is like an object or device that holds two things together, like a snap or a zipper, or a clip of some sort. And glue, you could say that that's kind of like a fastener. Anyway, the point is stay close to God. Like if you want to grow spiritually, if you want to have strength against temptation, if you want to have like more meaning in a richer life, like stay close to God. Like don't walk away from him, don't abandon him, don't be disobedient, all those kinds of things, which are all kind of encompassed in this verse. And so anyway, I did a really big study on that, and there's actually several verses in the Bible that repeat this same thing. And it's very practical. It sounds like some wishy-washy, like, oh, Hebrew and all this stuff. I don't know Hebrew. I'm not that smart, but I did a really in-depth study, and I kind of remember it because it was somewhat recent. And I think when you do that kind of meditation and study, like really hone in on a single word or a verse, you really learn quite a bit about it, and then you start to incorporate it more into your life, and it's really worth the time investment to do it, as long as it doesn't become some like meaningless ritualistic kind of academic thing. But if you take it like, okay, I want to learn how to do this or how to apply this, then it's definitely worthwhile. Let's see. Basically stay connected to God. Like, and that's so easy not to do that. Like with all the distractions that we have in life, our social media, cell phones, like YouTube and streaming, even just all the stuff that's like constantly like more bombarded with. Like most of us, myself included, have a hard time just like setting your phone down. Like I often have it in my pocket and I like just pull it out randomly. I don't even know why. Just like I got to look at something, and I'm not even on social media, but I still open it like to look at the weather or look at this or that. And I'm just like, why am I doing this? What a waste of time. And just all of these distractions keep us from doing the important things in life. And my personal theory, and I don't think it's really that ingenious or original or anything, but I think all these distractions are causing all of us to some degree to be like ADD or ADHD, because I used to be able to really focus not just on one thing, but several things at a time. I was pretty good at multitasking and staying on task, not like getting sidetracked. And these days, man, I have a really hard time doing that. And I attribute that to allowing myself. It's basically my fault, even though there is a battle for my mind and my attention. So you could blame those things, those negative forces, or those energies, or those elite, if you're into that thing, all those things around us that are trying to pull our attention and scatter our brains. They are our enemies. That they are really truly negative forces that exist in the world. But ultimately, we have control over how we react to them or what we give access to. So it's kind of in our responsibility, in our realm, to just like respond or shut those things out. And it's not easy, like super difficult to do when there's so many things vying for your attention. But I think if you want to have some sort of ability to maintain focus and honestly keep your mental health as this world continues to get worse and worse in that regard, you have to set up like mental boundaries, and you have to make decisions to be disciplined. Just like, okay, there's something that's like trying to grab my attention. I recognize it and I reject it, And it's super difficult to do. I find it difficult. Some people who are very disciplined probably do that just naturally. I don't. I have to really fight for it. Anyway, that's the kind of stuff that I got out of just that one verse. And I think if you do that with scripture, you'll find that it's that rich. Like there's so much to learn from it and apply in your life, that it's definitely worth the time.
To love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to keep his commandments, to hold fast to him, and to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul.
I kind of miss being able to have background music. I mean, I could, but I'm live streaming on YouTube, and I generally do okay, not too bad if I have like video game music, like a playlist going, but I don't know. I may eventually get back to that, but I don't like public domain kind of music that much, just like the generic tracks that you can find online or whatever. And you know, like the YouTube, whatever you call it, copyright safe library that you can use. I don't really like any of that stuff. It has no depth or meaning to it to me. It's just like generic music, and a lot of it's probably like AI generated these days. But anyway, it's just annoying not to be able to play music in the background. Historically, I've always played retro video game music, and I may go back to that, but it's very irritating to me when I get a bunch of copyright claims or whatever. I don't get it as many as I used to, because for some reason it's kind of weird. It's not necessarily a loophole, but I've noticed that if I use the actual music from video games, I don't get as many copyright claims. And maybe it's because, you know, you can live stream video games and it has that music playing, and maybe they have something in their algorithm that's like, okay, we can't claim all the video game music, otherwise everyone who streams video games is going to get this all the time. And so I've noticed I get less of that going on when I just play the game music, but it's not a surefire thing. Sometimes they still get claimed, and it's just irritating. So I've heard a rumor that they might actually be a little bit relaxing on that. It's a total rumor, but some creator that I read said there's some lawsuit that happened. I don't recall. I can't remember the details. It's something like, yeah, you'll have to look it up. It's some recent thing in the last week or two where some lawsuit got passed through. I don't know if it's the Supreme Court or what, but it was like, basically it was something to the effect that it used to be that platforms like YouTube and other similar platforms would have been held liable for what their users do. So in other words, if I play copyrighted music, YouTube could get sued, basically, if they don't force that offline or do whatever they do. But I think some case made that a little bit fuzzier, and they won the case, and it wasn't YouTube, but it was something else similar. And so some people think that that might change the tide a little bit, so that maybe they won't automatically copyright claim. I don't know. I kind of doubt that. I'm kind of a skeptic. I think it's not going to change anything, but you never know. That'd be great, but I don't YouTube anymore. Yeah, I shouldn't, but I don't have a lot of I don't know. I've been struggling. That whole thing I was talking about earlier with my attention span and all the ADHD stuff. I'm so easily distracted, and I don't have a lot of community right now. Like I don't have a lot of friends. I don't have any friends really where I live that I hang out with or do things with. And so I'm just sitting around, and I'm not working right now. I've been struggling to find work. And so I often find myself sitting around thinking, okay, what am I going to do? And then I just throw YouTube on. Often it happens when I'm eating a meal or something. I just want to watch something to visually stimulate my eyes, I guess. It's not necessary, but so yeah, I throw it on more than I should, and then I end up watching longer than I should, and like time escapes me. So, and that's the whole reason that I got off social media, like, I think it's been like 20 years. It's been a really long time. I don't know if social media's been around that long, but I know it's been over 10 years. It's probably been 15 or so. When I just got off of everything. And it's because it was just stealing all my time. Like, I'd pull my phone up, oh, got to see what's on Facebook. What a waste of time. And so I just got rid of all that a long time ago. I should do that with YouTube, honestly, but I haven't. So yeah, it takes too much of my time right now. I used to watch streamers, but I don't know, the whole community thing is broken down compared to like when it was in COVID in like 2019 and 2020 or so. Back then the community was really alive and like vibrant and everything, especially on DLive at that time and even other platforms. And then as soon as COVID kind of got swept out eventually, everyone went back to their normal lives. You know, it took a couple years for people to get back to normal, but there's less people online, less people like streaming, and not all, but a lot of the friends that I used to have on the platform just disappeared. And so I stopped watching streams as much. Like, most of the time I turn on DLive or Kick or something now, and I just like, oh, nobody that I follow is online, so I just close it immediately, which is good because I don't want to just sit there and looking for something when it's just another waste of time kind of thing. But yeah, I used to watch streams because I felt like, okay, well, at least if I'm watching a streamer, I'm interacting with them and having some sort of social connection, or maybe I can be a blessing to them or vice versa. So that was kind of what I did for a while, to stay away from YouTube. And now I'm just like, I don't really want to watch anything anymore. So just vegetate on YouTube more than I should. But it's good for you that you have not followed that path.
So Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way, and they went to their homes.
The main reason that I value YouTube at all is just because that's where most people are. And I'm not really into the fringe stuff. Like, a lot of people like, oh, I only want to watch politics, so they go to Rumble or they go to Pilled or something. I don't like that stuff at all. Like, I don't watch any politics. That's the last thing I want to engage in. And conspiracy theories and all that stuff. I know a lot of people are really into that stuff, but to me, that I don't do that. So I'm more into the general, just fun, entertaining stuff. And so most of that stuff is still primarily on YouTube. And so, like, there's hardly any of that general audience kind of just fun, goofy, creative stuff on like Rumble and the smaller platforms like that. You are in the top of, yeah, right. Come on, man. Come on. I don't think so. There's a lot of smart people on DLive and really anywhere that I mean, I appreciate the compliment, but I don't think so. Let's see. But maybe in a few days that might be true, because there's only going to be 5 people left on DLive. So maybe in the very end, like the last 30 seconds when everybody's about to leave, maybe I'll be in the top 300 or something.
So Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way.
Oops, let's see what do we got going here.
Their way, and they went to their homes.
Did I skip this? Let's just replay it.
So Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way, and they went to their homes. So Joshua blessed.
Oh, I guess I didn't like how it sounded, so I read it again. So I do that a lot. I just have to make sure to notice it so my final edit doesn't have the same verse repeated twice. I've like missed that a couple times. I'm like, oh crap. Of course, the way I've structured this app, it's pretty easy to go back and like re-edit it. It's very non-destructive. Okay, then I need to move this over here. Okay, cut that out. Cut it out.
So Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way, and they went to their homes.
So just for reference, if you watch this marker index over here on the right, you'll notice it says gap sentence, gap word, delete this 0.25 seconds, gap comma, etc., etc. So as I'm pressing keys on my keyboard, it's automatically making those markers, and then I expand them using other keys, and that's what you see, these yellow markers, red markers, and this red one is the delete this, etc. And so, and then I export all of this to a JSON file, and then I do some Python script editing, video editing stuff that just takes like 3 seconds. So the actual editing isn't being done right now. I'm just setting up like the metadata to do the editing via scripting, basically. But I find it to be quite efficient, and it's super stable and super fast. Like there's just no slowdown or crashing or anything like that.
To the half-tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given land in Bashan, and to the other half Joshua gave land on the west side of the Jordan among their brothers.
So what I'm doing here is I'm positioning my cursor at the edge of this one, and then that white line over there is -1 second. So generally, if it's close to a second, I do a sentence gap to make it basically shrinks it down to a certain consistent width. It also does crossfading so that it's not like a harsh cut, like my editing script takes all that into account. Quite sophisticated on the back end.
When Joshua sent them to their homes, he blessed them, saying,
Wait a minute, I'm kind of distracting myself here. Let's make sure there's no duplicates.
And to the other half Joshua gave land on the west side of the Jordan among their brothers. When Joshua sent them to their homes, he blessed them, saying,
Okay, that's unusual, but that does happen where the end of a verse is like right in the middle of a sentence, so I have to like pay attention there.
He blessed them, saying,
Bless them.
he blessed them,
It's like right in here.
saying,
Right there is where this verse ends, so I gotta go right there and snap this one to it.
bless them, saying, return to your homes with your...
That's just weird. Like, I know there's a story, I read it once. There's some dude, like way back in history, that added the verses to the Bible. I don't remember his name. Some scribe from, 1,000 years ago or something, or 600 years. I don't know. Whenever it happened, they added the chapters and the verses to the Bible just mainly to give it. It's a super useful, intelligent thing to do. It's like a programmer, something a programmer would do. Got to divide this up so that it's easy to reference things, look them up and stuff. Very smart thing to do. But some of the divisions are just weird. It's like, why did they put saying at the beginning of this verse? Like, why not put it at the end of the previous verse? It's just, I don't know. Anyway. And depending on which translation you're using, it may or may not break at the exact same spot, but it's usually pretty close. His name was Paul. Paul. Is his name Paul? Well, it wasn't Paul, the apostle, but was his name Paul, some other dude? That sounds like a joke to me, but you're probably messing with me.
saying, return to your...
Okay, let's see.
Return to your homes with your great wealth.
Return to your homes. Your great wealth.
With immense herds of livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, iron, and very many clothes. Divide with your brothers the spoil of your enemies.
Paul did it. Well, not the Apostle Paul. It happened like way after him. Let's look it up. Let's look it up. I should remember this, but I don't. Let's see. Who added the verses and chapters to the Bible? And in what time period? Oh, Stephanus. Yeah. So the ones that we use these days is done by Stephanus, also known as Robert Estienne, French printer and scholar in the year 1551. Stephanus. I'll forget that and have to look it up again. But the Old Testament was done by a guy named Isaac Nathan ben Colonimus, which I'm probably butchering the pronunciation, in around the year 1448. But yeah, the actual original text in Hebrew and Greek doesn't have verse numbers. It doesn't have, in most cases, it doesn't even have like what we think of as sentences and paragraphs, because those languages were structured a little bit, differently than English. So a lot of the like paragraph breaks and definitely all the section headings, like, what it says, like the crucifixion of Jesus at the beginning of a chapter or something. All of that was added later. But just kind of helpful literary and printing thingies. And each translation, NIV or NASB or King James or all of those different ones have different paragraph breaks potentially and different section headings and whatnot. Okay. Pork is not okay to eat. Well, technically it is now, but it's kind of up to your own conscience. But in the New Testament, all foods were made clean, so we no longer have to follow the Old Testament requirements that the Jews had to. Okay, so let's see.
So the Reubenites,
I don't really like pork, to be honest, but I'm not against it. I don't agree with that. Like, we're, free to have our own interpretations. I know, like, certain denominations and, like, Seventh Day Adventists and stuff have different thoughts on that. I don't personally adhere to that, but it also talks about, like, the conscience thing, like, you shouldn't do things that will cause your brother to stumble and whatnot. And so Paul says, "Oh, I won't eat meat," but he's totally free to, but he chooses to become all things to all people so that he may save some and whatnot. But he's not under that law. He just chooses to live as though he's under the law to those who are under the law, and he lives as a free man to those who are, the Greeks or the Gentiles, all that stuff. But
so the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites at Shiloh in the land of Canaan
okay, here we go.
to return to their own land of Gilead, which they had acquired according
Cut that out.
of Gilead, which they had
That is a comma break, so I'll put a marker here.
acquired according to the command of the Lord through Moses. And when they came to Geliloth,
I have such a hard time with these names. At one time, I thought it would be kind of fun to take like a basic, not necessarily like a Hebrew class, but at least like a Hebrew pronunciation guide. I did look it up a little bit, but yeah, I don't really know how to pronounce most things in Hebrew, so I butcher all the names pretty bad. But ironically, though, most people do, and when you think about it, it's almost impossible to get it right because they're transliterated into English anyway. So what we're actually looking at is not the Hebrew anyway. So it's kind of pretty difficult to say them correctly. Oh no, planet did swine. On no planet did swine become food for people. Paul, poor translation. Yeah, we'll just have to agree to disagree on that one. I believe that all foods are clean. You should eat with whatever is put before you with a clear conscience. It's not just that one verse. There's actually quite a number of verses in the New Testament that reinforce that idea. You should, there's the one that talks about like you should eat whatever is put before you with a clear conscience, and it has to do more with the conscience of the person who presents it or people around you rather than your own. All foods are clean, but obviously we don't agree, so that's fine. I'm not too worried about it.
And when they came to Geliloth, near the Jordan in the land of and when they
I'm going to cut this out. And there's a ton of other, it's not just the food requirements, there's a ton of other Old Testament law that were required of the Jews that New Testament believers don't have to follow anymore. In fact, when I don't remember which church it was, but one of the churches was very concerned because there was a disagreement erupting in the church concerning different traditions and stuff, and they sent a letter to the church in Jerusalem asking, like, brothers, there's this problem. We don't know. There's these Judaizers who are telling us we have to follow the law, we have to get circumcised, and all this stuff and whatnot. And the church came to an agreement that no, you don't have to do that. All are one in Christ, whether circumcised or uncircumcised, and etc. And we want you to abstain from food sacrificed to idols and blood and sexual immorality and stuff like that. They gave them a pretty basic list, but they didn't say like, oh, you have to follow every law in the Old Testament. But anyway, I know some people have different thoughts about that, but okay, so let's see. I know that I'm free. Like I know that I'm free to do those things, but I wouldn't want to cause someone else to stumble. So, if that's a problem for somebody, then you should do what the Lord has given you peace about or not given you peace about based on your understanding of Scripture. Let's see.
And when they came to Geliloth, near the Jordan,
Let's get this over here.
and when they came to Geliloth, near the Jordan in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh built an imposing altar there by the Jordan. Then the Israelites received the report. Behold, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar on the border of the land of Canaan, at Geliloth near the Jordan on the Israelite side.
Sometimes I forget my own keystrokes. Say like, oh shoot, I forgot to do ripple when I'm kind of in the groove. Like it's pretty fast. Like because all my keystrokes are tied to QWERT, QWERT, ASDF, and a couple on the bottom row. So I don't have to like lift my hand at all when it's left hand on the keyboard.
And when they heard this, the whole congregation of Israel assembled at Shiloh to go to war against them. The Israelites sent Phinehas son of Eleazar the priest to the land of Gilead, to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh. With him they sent 10 chiefs, one family leader from each tribe of Israel.
Oops.
Each the head of a family among the clans of Israel. They went to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, in the land of Gilead, and said to them,
One thing that I would like to improve, this seems, it's definitely not impossible, but very difficult, is to more accurately detect the speech borders, because I'm just using like a basic volume threshold border, whatever. And so it detects these little bits of noise, and there's have to like press the button several times to get it to snap. And it'd be awesome if it just like was so intelligent that it just knew exactly where to snap to. But yeah, it's one of those things. I have a million different ways to achieve the same thing though. I can put my mouse, just hover my mouse over where I want it to go to, and then press a certain key to snap it to that. And then I can just drag it, physically drag it like this. So there's quite a few different ways to achieve the same thing.
This is what the whole congregation of the Lord says. What is this breach of faith you have committed today against the God of Israel by turning away from the Lord and building for yourselves an altar, that you might rebel against the Lord this day?
I'm also thinking of making eventually, I haven't been adding features lately because I don't like getting distracted with the coding thing, but one thing I'd like to add is, these are snapping points. I'd like to have sort of a little mini dialogue that pops up with sort of like a bunch of checkboxes for like snapping to this in this circumstance and whatnot. And because my preferred method would be to have it snap to the borders of the SRT subtitle phrases when I'm in this particular mode, but I want to be able to override that in other situations. But yeah, anyway, blah, blah, blah. We all know you're smarter than us. No, I'm not. Not smarter than any. I'm actually not smart. I used to be smart. Like I can say that with some, acceptance that I used to be pretty smart, but my brain is kind of fried. I don't know when it actually happened. Even when I was a senior in high school, I had some kind of event. felt like a nervous breakdown, but something happened. I used to be like a 4-point student and really intelligent and whatnot and really disciplined, all this stuff. And I don't know, something happened that year that just, my brain broke. And then another similar thing happened about 11 years ago. It just keeps happening. I don't know if it's just an age thing or stress or what, but I think it's kind of just big events that I've gone through in my life, and my brain just kind of breaks over and over again. And then I feel like every time that happens, I'm like half the capacity I was before. But hopefully it's not going to happen again, or I'll be like a drooling vegetable pretty soon. But
that you might rebel against the Lord this day.
wait a minute. Make sure we got this right.
That you might rebel against the Lord this day.
Oh, I guess I reread this.
That you might rebel against the Lord this day.
Okay, yeah, I like that better.
That you might.
So let's get rid of this one. Oops. Okay, and then where does this end? That needs to be pulled over here.
That you might.
And then if I'm tired, like I shouldn't be doing this editing so late, because if I sort of in a little bit of a mental groggy state, then I'm going to make mistakes and have to redo this. But
Rebel against the Lord this day. Was not.
oops. Where will I stream? Pretty much everywhere, but like I mentioned earlier, all those list of platforms, about 10 platforms. I don't know where I'll consider my home, like my home base. I've kind of given up on that quite a long time ago. I think I get the feeling that generally speaking, more people are going to find me on Kick, just because, I mean, I'm not saying I'm a fan of Kick, so it's kind of choose whatever platform you like the best. But the reason I say I think I'll have more people find me on Kick is just it's a little bit bigger, and that's people already migrated there about 3 or 4 years ago from DLive. There's a fair number of people there, but it sounds like to me that a lot of people from DLive are going to Valora and Pilled. I'm not going to be on Pilled probably, mainly because it seems to attract the whole mega political crowd, and I have no problem with that crowd, except that they tend to like to try to hijack streams, where they come into a stream that has absolutely nothing to do with politics, like a gaming stream, or like in my case, an IRL stream, and they're just like, what do you think about Trump? What do you think about this? And I'm just like, that's clearly not what we're about here, so I don't want to be hijacked. So that's probably why I'm not going to do Pilled until they've proven that they're kind of outgrowing that whole political thing, or expanding their horizons a little bit. But yeah, I'm on Rumble. It's really just up to you, though. If you want to watch my streams, just whatever platform you're comfortable with, I'll be there. So yeah, it's up to everybody. But yeah, don't follow me on all 10 or whatever. Just pick one that you like, that you already spend time on, and I'll be there for the most part. But I'm not like necessarily out of the streaming mode, but I'm not going to probably ever go back to the frequency that I used to have. I felt like that was unhealthy. I've had two learning phases in my streaming career, so to speak. It's not that I've ever made money from it, but I first had to learn the addiction thing for myself, kind of like the whole social media cycle. You get too involved in social media, you realize it's an addiction, and you have to pull back from it or just delete your account entirely. For live streaming, I got kind of addicted to it in 2019 or 2020, where I just felt like this is taking up too much of my time. I was like watching streams all day, or I was streaming myself. So I pulled back that many years ago from doing that. So I don't really watch streams that much anymore, and I don't stream as much myself either. And then more recently, I haven't streamed as much because I just don't feel like there's as much motivation. I don't have as many connections as I used to have, and most of the time I'm streaming with zero interactive viewers, and it just feels boring. Like I'll go on these crazy, what I think are these crazy awesome hikes with these amazing views and do IRL streaming and whatnot, and there's like nobody to talk to. So I'm like, it feels like a waste of time. So I just don't do it as much. It's just not as fun as it used to be. But I think it'll still be part of my zeitgeist or whatever, my personal hobby list, and I'll do it from time to time. I just don't think I'll get as absorbed into it as I used to be. The only exception is that most of the time these days also, I've sort of dropped most of my variety content for the most part. I might do a thing here or there, like I did a soccer juggling stream a while ago, and I may get back into piano here and there, but generally speaking, most of my content is focused around what I consider eternal goals and spiritual pursuits. And so I already want to be reading the Bible and studying scripture and stuff like that for my own personal well-being. And so I figure, well, I can kill two birds with one stone. Not that we want to talk about killing and stones, but it's an expression. I can stream and not necessarily take longer, but also read the word and study it, and then others can choose to take part in that as well. So, it has dual purpose kind of thing. Once again, though, ever since I became kind of the Bible guy, I lost a lot of my old friends. Like, maybe they'd still call me a friend, but they don't really drop by anymore because they don't like religious stuff, and I totally understand that. I don't have a problem with that. Obviously, I would love it if they took an interest in scripture, because I think it's super important, but I'm not going to expect a bunch of non-religious people to appreciate what I'm doing, and I'll still be their friend if they don't. But it's just the way it is. The streaming world doesn't really embrace spiritual things for the most part, so I don't get a lot of interaction these days, and that's fine. I'll still do what I think is important, but it's not a very fun thing as far as like community goes. I do it for my own. I need it. I need spiritual food. I need connection with the Lord. I don't have to do the streaming part, but I have to do the being in the Word thing. And I just figure, throw it out there. Maybe someone out there someday will be blessed by it. That's kind of my hope. And if not, I'll still do it for my own reasons.
Okay. Was not the sin of pure enough for us, from which we have not cleansed ourselves to this day? It even brought up...
Okay, what was I doing here? I was redoing something, I thought. I don't know what I was doing. I lost my editing train of thought here. Oh, I know what I was doing. I was fixing a mistake that I pushed the wrong keystroke.
Was not the sin of Peor enough for us, from which we have not cleansed ourselves to this day? It even brought a plague upon the congregation of the Lord. And now you would turn away from the Lord?
Are you Kick? Yeah, I'm on Kick. Let me see what I used to have most of my links on my DLive About page. I haven't updated it in a while, but some of them are there. It's a little bit outdated because some of the platforms that I think I used to list don't even exist anymore. But I haven't updated it in a while, but some of them are there. It's a little bit outdated because... Let's see. Some of them are here, like if you go to my DLive and go to my About or whatever, some of them are right here. So I'm on Kick, I'm on DLive, that's going away. I'm on Beamstream, Rumble, I'm on Odyssey, except I can't really live stream there because their technology isn't reliable. I have a YouNow account, and I used to live stream there, but they also have weird streaming technology. They don't use standard RTMP. I kind of like that platform, to be honest. And if they used to have RTMP and they went over to their own proprietary thing, if they added RTMP again, like they used to have, I would probably add that back to it. I don't remember if Noise even still exists, but I'm on Noise and Party. Soup Live is I've sort of stopped streaming there because it's just weird. I stopped streaming on Pixel. It's just too much trouble, more trouble than it's worth. I am on Twitch. I am on YouTube. I am on BitChute, but I don't always live stream there because sometimes that's more trouble than it's worth. I think I'm on there today, but and Trovo, which is going away. TikTok, I just added an account like a year ago. I don't really use it anymore. And then there's a couple others. I'm on Valora and Blaze and some others, but probably ones that most people aren't going to be part of. But anyway, there's a partial list, but that's not a complete list. Unfortunately, I need to update that, I guess. But yeah. Do.
If you rebel
See, that's good.
If you rebel today against the Lord, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel.
Yeah, there's some stern stuff in here sometimes. Every time I see things like this, like verse 9, no, it's not verse 19, might be 18, whatever that is, it says, and now would you turn away from the Lord? If you rebel today against the Lord, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel. I tend to personalize things, the warnings and the stuff like that. Or if I read about some character in the Bible that does something stupid, I don't think, oh, they're stupid. I think, oh, Lord, help me not to do that thing. Or like, I'm just as prone to my sinful nature as they are. And so I try to internalize it, not so that I'm going to feel terrible all the time, but I just want to make sure that I'm not making the same mistake and being a hypocrite or whatever, which let's just face it, we're all hypocrites to some degree. We can't fulfill the law to perfection like Jesus did, and that's why he sacrificed himself for us to fill the gap in our inability to be perfect. He covered for us and paid the price for our missing the mark in so many ways. So we're all going to fall short of the glory of God, and miss the mark to some degree, and some more than others. It doesn't really matter. The comparison game is not good. But the point is, we all need forgiveness, and so I try to. I just want to like lessen my disobedience and my falling apart and crumbling. And I can't really do that. Like I can't will myself into submission to the Lord just by my own willpower, self-control, and strength. But I believe it is a cooperation between his efforts and ours. Like he ultimately covers and justifies us by his grace through Christ. But we have to do our part to cooperate with his work in us and listen to his voice and study his word and try to align ourselves with his will and all that stuff. And one of the ways that I find to do that is to learn from bad examples and good examples alike. So if you have a mentor or someone that you look up to, hopefully it's just Jesus, but sometimes it's useful to have someone in our lives like a mentor or a pastor or an elder or somebody that also is kind of a helper in that sense, that we look up to and maybe emulate in certain ways, just like Paul was that for Timothy and so on. But you can gain that, but you can also like look at examples in the Bible and elsewhere of like, oh wow, that person made this mistake. That's also a warning to me that I don't slip up in that same way. And so the verse like this is one of those. And the crazy thing is like your decisions don't affect just you, like it talks about here. If you rebel today against the Lord, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel. And I don't know, it would be interesting to do a study on the Hebrew, because that almost sounds like if you, singular, rebel against the Lord, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation. But it could be if you all, y'all, kind of the plural form. And if I had to strike a total guess without looking at the Hebrew, I would guess that it probably is you all, or plural. But in some ways, you can also internalize it, because there's other verses in the Bible where a leader or someone, like a great example is Achan. If you look up the character Achan, it's also in the book of Joshua, I believe, one of the first chapters, where they first enter the land. They're about to take Jericho, according to the command of the Lord, to march around the city and blow the trumpets and all that stuff. And they do that, but then Achan, this guy, takes for himself some of the spoils that he was instructed not to. And God warned Israel, like, don't take these spoils. It's supposed to be devoted to the Lord for destruction. And whatever. I don't remember the exact instructions, but basically Achan disobeyed, and he stole some gold and some other things, and then he dug a hole and buried them under his tent. And so the Lord, soon afterwards, the entire nation paid the consequences of the sins of this one man, because Israel was in conquering mode under the leadership of Joshua, going around conquering cities and stuff. And so Ai was next, I believe, after Jericho. And so they went to attack Ai, and the Lord did not bless their military campaign, because he sees all and knows all, and he was aware that one among them had rebelled against the command of the Lord, and God is holy and can't just overlook things like that. Plus, he wanted to set this example from the beginning, to have his people set apart for his name and holy from one end to the other, and wanted no compromise. Thankfully, it's amazing. Like, we are called also to be holy, because our Heavenly Father is holy even today. But even when we're not holy, he doesn't just instantly kill us like we deserve. His grace is amazing. I don't know. I don't fully understand why he was so hard on the Israelites at this time. I think you could do a study and you'd have a better answer than I do. I think it was to establish his covenant and show, in a sense, that the huge importance of the requirement of being holy, especially when entering the promised land, because what they were doing is they were crossing the Jordan, which represents death and baptism, and they were entering the Holy Land, which represents literally heaven. So you die and then you go to heaven, kind of thing. And in heaven there is no sin, absolutely not a shred, not a speck, not allowed in heaven. And so since the Holy Land represents that, it's kind of like a mirror, or a looking through a glass, like it talks about in Corinthians or whatever, I think. He wanted to set that up as the symbol, I guess. I don't fully understand, but anyway, it's very hard on Israel at this time, and because of the sin of one man, the whole nation paid the price. And he often does that. Like, if you're a leader, just as an example, if you're a leader of a house, like as a man, you're the leader of your house because of the role that he's assigned to you, or you're the leader of a small group, or you're the leader of a Bible study, or you're the leader of like your group at work or something, or you're a pastor, an elder, a deacon. The things that you do, the mistakes that you make, have far wider implications than your own heart and your own path. There's others looking up to you, not just that, but even the sins that you do in secret, there's consequences to those. And if you fall away or you walk away, you're not just affecting yourself, you're affecting your family, your friends, your community. And it's not those things aren't meant to like add pressure to the pressure that we already feel to do what's right. But I think it is to point out the seriousness of sin and how the consequences can spread far beyond our own selfish circle, you know, like we think, oh, it's just something I do. It doesn't affect anybody, but it does. It definitely does. So this is the kind of stuff that I try to do as I'm reading, doing the audio Bible and listening and doing these edits. I see something that stands out to me. And that's one thing that could come from these streams where I'm doing the editing. If I take the time to express it, then it could, you know, expand on it more than I might. But I'm always trying to think of these sort of things as I'm doing the edits. Let's see. But all that said, it might sound like, oh, he thinks about stuff, he's mature, blah blah blah. No, like most of this stuff is I'm preaching to myself because I make mistakes all the time. In fact, I consider myself to be one of the weakest in the kingdom and the biggest screw ups. I struggle like massively. Even just this week, I've had numerous struggles where I just like, because of my anxiety or other like issues that I have going on inside my head, it breaks community, or just like I don't know how to deal with other people and stuff because I'm just not a very good people person. And so, yeah, it's just stuff that I always have to work on and keep myself in check. And most of the time I feel like I fail, but I just have to hope that God is working in my life in spite of my numerous shortcomings. Okay, this is a long gap here. And normally it doesn't take me quite this long to do the edits just because I'm kind of doing the discussion thing, but to me that's just as valuable. Like the actual mechanical work of the edit is of very little importance in an internal sense, but like absorbing as much as I can from the meaning and the instruction of Scripture is what it's all about. So it's not about doing it quickly.
If indeed the land of your inheritance is unclean, then cross over to the land of the Lord's possession, where the Lord's tabernacle stands, and take possession of it among us. But do not rebel against the Lord or against us by building for yourselves an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God.
I guess it was probably a plural. I had kind of lost the context, but it was talking about these guys on the east side of the Jordan who were given the freedom to settle their land before the rest of Israel. There was 2.5 tribes, I think, on the east that settled. And then the rest crossed the Jordan to conquer Jericho, Ai, and all those other places. And so these guys that settled on the east side set up an altar, and Joshua and the elders were like, "What are you doing? This is not allowed. There can only be a place of worship in the place that God decides, that he chooses, which right now is still the tabernacle because they're like a nomadic people and wandering around. But ultimately God would choose Jerusalem and the temple and stuff. But anyway, so what these people on the east side were doing sounded like a rebellion against the Lord, in that they're like, oh, there's the Jordan separating us. We're kind of like our own nation, so let's set up our own place of worship because it's too hard to cross the Jordan to get to where we need to be to properly obey the commandments. And so that's what they thought was going on, the leaders thought. And so they're like, you guys, if you rebel against the Lord this day, then the whole nation will pay for your sins. So I think that's the context. And then we'll read here in a minute that they had honorable intentions, and I think they were let off the hook because they were just setting up an altar of remembrance, so essentially to remind them of all the things that God has done and whatnot. So
God. altar of the Lord our God. Was not Achan son of Zerah?
And it even gave the example of that dude I was talking about earlier, where the sins of one man caused the entire nation to lose a battle. Oops. Why is it? I keep forgetting to take the ripple off, and it makes all these weirdo thingies.
Was not Achan son of Zerah unfaithful regarding what was set apart for destruction, bringing wrath upon the whole congregation of Israel? Yet it was not only Achan who perished because of his sin.
Can you imagine that? Like, I feel like that's, I mean, I don't like getting into politics, but like right now, like, there's all these wars being fought because one dude or a council of people say, oh, we need to do these wars, but you have all these soldiers under your charge that are dying because of your decisions. I would not want to be in that position of military authority where I'm like telling soldiers, go here, do this, and people are dying because of my choices. Like, no, thank you. I mean, I'm thankful that there's people in those positions that are able to make those decisions in spite of their consciences and trying to make the best decision that they need to make. But I don't think I could do that myself.
Then the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the leaders of the clans of Israel. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God.
I love it when it repeats stuff like that in the Bible. Like, it's like a quote of passion because it's repetitious. You're saying the exact same thing twice. It's like, I can't just say it once. It's kind of like when you're singing a song at church, oftentimes it'll repeat the same thing over and over again. But if it's something that really has power and meaning to it, it bears repeating. One of my favorite verses in the Bible that I think of a lot is the Lord, the Lord. I'm like, oh, I love that. Let me see if I can find that. I can't remember where it is. I say that a lot, like just in my own head. Let me look it up here. What's the verse that says the Lord twice? It's probably in Exodus or something, but Exodus 34:6. So it says, oh, I love it. It's so good. It's so basic, and people are thinking like, why? It just says God twice. Like, who cares? I don't know. Something about it. Just the fact that it says it twice makes it beautiful to me. So Exodus 34:6, it says, and the Lord passed by before him and proclaimed, the Lord God, merciful and gracious, long-suffering and abundant in goodness and truth. And then other versions, it just says the Lord twice. And I don't know, I like it. It's one of my favorite. And this one's kind of similar. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. Did you catch that? The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. Anyway, good stuff.
The One is God. He knows, and may Israel also know. If this was in rebellion or breach of faith against the Lord,
this is also a good example of wise judgment. Like, they could have just come to their own conclusions, the elders and leaders, and said, these men have rebelled. Okay, everyone in Israel, arm yourselves. We're going to go destroy these tribes who have rebelled against the Lord. But instead, they gave them the benefit of the doubt, or at least they thought they knew what was going on, but they went and talked to them first. They didn't just like make that judgment call. So I kind of like that also in the story. Sometimes we make rash judgments or decisions about people that we don't even know why they're doing it. We don't know what motivates them. We just assume we think we know what's going on in their head. And so we judge them and say, you're evil, you're doing the wrong thing or whatever. But it's like, if you actually sit down and talk to them and reason it out, you might actually find that you agree with what they're doing. Or at least you can understand their motivation.
Do not spare us today.
Oh, that's especially why I like this. So then the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the leaders. So they're being accused of sinning and bringing guilt upon the whole nation of Israel because of their sin, just like Achan did. And their response includes that beautiful repetition. So this is what they say.
The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. He knows, and may Israel also know. If this was in rebellion or breach of faith against the Lord, do not spare us today.
So they're saying themselves, like, we think we're doing what is right. We worship the Lord, and we'll say it twice. He is our God. So what we did in clear conscience, but they also submit themselves to the punishment. They are willing to face the music. They say, we think we did this correctly, but we know that our God is holy. And so if we did what was wrong in his eyes, then don't spare us, because we don't want to bring judgment upon the entire nation. So if we're guilty, then we bear our punishment. So I like that honor there that they have. Thankfully, they will receive mercy, as we shall see here in a minute.
If we have built for ourselves an altar to turn away from him and to offer burnt offerings and grain offerings on it.
If only we had this kind of humble attitude. Like, if I have set up something in my life, Lord, that does not honor you and that has become a hindrance to my relationship with you, it's been set up like an altar to an unknown God besides you, or I have disobeyed your commands, Lord, strip it away from me, like, if only we had that same kind of humility. I can't say that I do. Like, I'm saying that now. It might sound like I'm all spiffy and stuff, but this is stuff that I wish to do, but I'm not saying that I do it all the time. Like, I think a lot of us have things in our life that we know probably shouldn't be there. I could list some things. Everybody could list some things. And it's just like, it's hard to, it's hard to do what you know you should do all the time. Let's see.
Or to sacrifice fellowship offerings on it. For burnt offerings and grain offerings on it. Or to sacrifice fellowship offerings on it. May the Lord himself hold us accountable.
There's another verse. If you find any wicked way in me, I think it's David. What's the verse? This is what AI is good for. I remember like partial verses. I have a lot of them in my brain, but I can't quote them all the way. So I just go to AI and just like, what's the verse that says, if you find any wicked way in me, and it'll grab it. Psalm 139:24. So King David, I believe, is saying this. He says, search me, O God, and know my heart. Test me and know my anxious thoughts. See if there is any wicked way in me, and lead me in the way everlasting. It's kind of the verse that comes to mind with this chapter. It's a really good one. Self-reflection and including God in your self-reflections. Just like, you might come to your own conclusions about what you think is right or wrong, but like include him in the decision-making process and ask him, to reveal his will, and believe that he will, and hopefully he will. Okay. I struggle with
But in fact,
hearing from the Lord. So I might ask him a question like that, like, weed out the wickedness of me, or tell me what to do in this circumstance, and I may or may not hear an answer. And so sometimes you just have to take the next step forward, hoping that what you're doing is right, and just asking, keeping an open channel, hoping that God will reveal his plan as you're moving forward. But sometimes you can't just like sit around and wait forever for an answer. Just life kind of keeps moving, and you have to make some kind of decision. And some people feel like they hear from the Lord in very specific, intimate ways. I'm not one of those that I hear him say, do this, do that on a regular basis. So I kind of have to just hope that I'm doing what's right and that he'll reveal his plan along the way somewhere. But it's something that I struggle with.
but in fact, we have done this for fear that in the future
Okay, so let's cut this out.
But in fact, we have done this for fear that in the future your descendants might say to ours, what have you to do with the Lord, the God of Israel? For the Lord has made the Jordan a border between us and you Reubenites and Gadites. You have no share in the Lord. So
sometimes, like when I read stories like this, the skeptic or the cynicism guy in me thinks like, wonder if they actually did it sort of out of some misguided reason or whatever, but then they came up with this explanation after the fact, like, oh, whoops, we probably shouldn't have set up that altar. We had some maybe an imperfect thought in mind. But then when they were confronted, they're like kind of made this thing up where, oh, we got to think of an explanation. But the Bible doesn't say that that was the reason, so you can't make those assumptions. But, that's just the human nature studier kind of skeptic in me thinking like, oh, that kind of sounds like they made that up at the last second, but probably not. Okay, where am I now? Suddenly jumped.
you have no share in the Lord.
I think I pressed the wrong button accidentally.
So your descendants could cause ours to stop fearing the Lord.
It's an interesting, I mean, that seems like an obscure thing to think about, rather than like fearing that they will fall away from the Lord because of the separation of the Jordan. They're saying like, we're afraid that you guys will somehow cut us off and then we'll turn away from the Lord because of what you have done. I don't know. It's very like a roundabout way of being worried about something. But anyway, let's see.
That is why we said, let us take action and build an altar for ourselves, but not for burnt offerings or sacrifices.
Seems really weird. It's like, that's why I get a little bit skeptical about it. It's like, you're going to build an altar. An altar is for burning stuff on it, but we're not going to burn anything on it. I don't know. It just sounds funny, but yeah. Okay.
Rather, let it be a witness between us and you and the generations to come, that we will worship the Lord in his presence with our burnt offerings, sacrifices, and peace offerings. Then in the future your descendants cannot say to ours, you have no share in the Lord. You have no share in the Lord. Therefore we said, if they ever say this to us or to our descendants, we will answer, look at the replica of the altar of the Lord that our fathers made. Not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you. Far be it from us to rebel against the Lord and turn away from him today by building an altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices, other than the altar of the Lord our God, which stands before his tabernacle. When Phinehas the priest and the chiefs of the congregation, the heads of Israel's clans, who were with him, heard what the descendants of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh had to say, they were.
Yeah, it's interesting because God knows what every person is thinking. God can judge righteously. He doesn't make assumptions about what the intentions of the heart are because he knows everything about everything that we think and why we're doing the things that we do. But people obviously can't read minds like that and certainly can't determine the motives with accuracy. It's interesting that in this case, God trusted the decision. I mean, I shouldn't say trusted, but he allowed entrusted the decision or judgment to be made by these leaders. And we don't actually have God's perspective on this story necessarily. We have to assume that their motives were true, but it is possible that they had a weird motive and that the leaders determined that by what they said that it was acceptable. But there's other places in scripture where like Moses or Joshua or the leaders don't really know, and so they'll do the either they'll just ask God, or I think in many cases what that usually means is the Urim and the Thummim or whatever you call them, they'll cast lots, which is what they were given to determine what God's will, which is very strange. I don't understand that. From our modern perspective, it sounds like they're like rolling dice or something. But apparently God somehow used that to reveal his will to them rather than always speaking in a booming voice or something. He sometimes used that means. And it's not something that I've done great study on, so I don't fully understand it. But anyway, sometimes I think it's always good to ask the Lord, though. Like, we are given authority as humans to make judgments, especially if we're in a leadership position. Judges have to do that all the time. Juries do that. And we're hoping that we've come to the right conclusion, but you could find out later that like, oh, we sentenced this guy to prison and he was later found not guilty and we made the wrong decision. That's crazy. Like, that you can potentially come to the wrong conclusion. You just hope for the best. But for those of us who do follow the Lord, we have his Spirit in us and we have access to the Father. Then we can ask him directly stuff, maybe certain people are better at discerning his answers than I am, for example. But I think it's always good to have that attitude of like, okay, I came to this conclusion, but Lord, am I right? What do you think? And whether he answers or not, at least always having that conversation, I think is good. So one might say these leaders, and maybe they did this, and it just isn't included in this verse, but it would have been good for them to like, okay, we think we accept that, but let's spend a minute asking the Lord and see what he has to say. It's always a good thing to do.
They were satisfied.
needs to go over here.
Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, said to the descendants of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, "Today we know that the Lord is among us, because you have not committed this breach of faith against him. Consequently, you have delivered the Israelites from the hand of the Lord."
I'm guessing they probably had some guidance or a conversation with the Lord, and it just wasn't spelled out necessarily. But interestingly enough, God does give that special guidance and connection with him to his leaders, because if he didn't do that, I mean, that's why you have Moses and Aaron and Joshua and Samuel and King David and all these seemingly super spiritual guys. And sometimes, at least I do, I sometimes envy them. It's like, oh, I wish I had that kind of connection with God. But I'm also not in a position of authority over others. And perhaps if I was entrusted in something like that, that maybe I would get that special connection and extra communication from the Lord, because he wants to make sure that his people are guided properly. And there's kind of a verse about that. Let me think if I can remember it. I had it on the tip of my tongue. What is it? Oh, yeah, deacons. What's the verse about deacons having special assurance because of their position? 1 Timothy 3:13. Give me the view verse context. Weird. Gemini's having an error. It's like about to give me the answer and then it disappears. I think it's 1 Timothy 3:8-13. So look that up real quick. 1 Timothy 3:8-13. So this is like a description of the deacons, which are a servant leader of the church. It's telling all the things that they need, their requirements of being a deacon. So I won't read the whole list of requirements, but verse 12 in 1 Timothy 3, it says, "A deacon must be the husband of but one wife, a good manager of his children and of his own household. For those who have served well as deacons acquire for themselves a high standing and great confidence in the faith that is in Christ Jesus." And that can mean probably several different things, and I'm not claiming to know exactly what it means, but one of the things that I struggle with, I'm pretty insecure, so sometimes I doubt whether the Lord is, loves me, or, if anybody loves me, all that kind of stuff. Tend to have insecurity issues. And so, man, I would love to have great confidence in the faith, Well, one way you can achieve that is to be a deacon, be a leader. And I think part of that comes with, when you are a leader, God gives you a special grace and a connection with himself, because he knows that you are a shepherd of the flock and you're serving others. And he wants to make sure each of those people, like he's the good shepherd, Jesus Christ himself, the head of the church, but he appoints leaders under himself, humble people who are willing to serve. And he gives them special grace so that they're able to shepherd those people underneath them, because Jesus cares about everybody. And so if you want to have confidence in your faith and feel greater connection with the Lord and hear his voice more, one of the ways to do that, I suppose, is to be a deacon or an elder or a pastor or whatever, because God is going to give you messages for his people because you're in a position of teaching and leadership. And so you'll feel more connected to God because you'll be hearing his voice that's being given to you for the benefit of the body. So that's kind of cool to think about. I've never been in a leadership position. I consider myself somewhat disqualified, not entirely, but certain aspects of leadership. I think my character isn't up to par with what it should be. And I don't want to make a mockery of scripture or the Lord by assuming a position of authority when I'm not qualified, because it puts not just myself in danger of being proud or arrogant or whatever, but I could potentially put others in danger if I'm not suitable for the position. And I just think it's something that should be taken very seriously.
Then Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, together with the other leaders, returned to the Israelites in the land of Canaan and brought back a report regarding the Reubenites and Gadites in the land of Gilead. The Israelites were satisfied with the report, and they blessed God and spoke no more about going to war against them to destroy the land where the Reubenites and Gadites lived. So the Reubenites and Gadites named the altar Witness.
It is tempting to be in leadership because I want to feel close to the Lord, and that 1 Timothy 3:13 is pretty intriguing. It's like, I want a great confidence in the faith that is in Christ Jesus. I have confidence, I have faith, but like sometimes I just feel insecure. So like, hey, maybe you could help with that. But it's like, if I'm feeling insecure, should I really be in leadership? That's the question that really comes to mind. And I have so many other issues.
For they said, "It is a witness between us that the Lord is God."
All right, we finally made it through chapter. Super slow. Not actually totally done. So this actually has video capabilities. It's kind of rudimentary just so I can line things up, so I can pull in this video, and that's why I do the pre-processing of Odyssey H264. I need to go to bed soon, but I do want to, I think I still am going to do that reading. There's nobody going to be here for it, but I want to do it anyway. So after maybe just this one chapter. Wow, that took a long time. But I'm thankful for it to spend the time in the Word, so it's not a big deal. Anyway, this shows the video that corresponds, and it automatically syncs the video, so now all I'm going to do is figure out where the first verse fades in, basically. Just kind of scrub until I see it fade out in the video over there. And then I add 1 second, which is page up, copy that time, and then I paste that in here, and that becomes the start of my video. And I do the same thing on the end. Play it out until the verse fades out right there. And I like to add 2 seconds to the end just to give it a little fade out time on the end. Paste that in. There. Okay, so that's it. And then I download the edited SRT file, which will be perfectly synchronized to the text. Replace what I already had, and then I download the markers, which is all my editing metadata in JSON format. Joshua 22. And then, let's see. Oh, let's see. One thing I like to do. Let's do this. I have another script. I have a ton of scripts, by the way, that I've written with AI and whatnot. So I have this thing, files to folders, stem. See if it works properly. Yeah, so it detects the common prefix and creates folders with the names of those common files. So now they're all in their own folders, so I don't have to do that manually. And then, okay, so this one's ready to do the editing. So I do all that stuff with my app, and then I just run this script. It's BW2MLT stem Joshua 22 FPS 30. This does all the editing. It only takes like a couple seconds. Okay, so then I get an MLT file, which is the Shotcut native XML based file. And here's my edit, all done. Non-destructively, it's not rendered. It actually has all these are like crossfades and stuff, and all the normalized spacing is baked in and everything. So then I like to listen to it through all the way through. It gives me another time to meditate on the word, but then I check for errors in my editing. And since I'm live streaming, I probably could have made some. Normally I'd go a lot faster and don't talk as much, but I just like to double check. Oh, this probably, I don't have this audio source set up in OBS, so it's not going to work. Oh. Yeah, sorry. I'm sure it gives a minute and Dale Bold are not here anymore, but I'm having an issue with Valora chat not getting picked up by social stream. I need to fix that next stream. I should pop out Valora. I didn't really expect anybody to drop by. But yeah, sorry about that. A million years ago that dropped by. It's irritating. I'll have to get that fixed. But yeah, you guys are long gone by now. Okay, let's see. That's one thing I could use Beam for, maybe, because Beam probably has, I'm assuming they have chat support for Valora. So I don't know. It's just annoying to have to like do these multiple chat connection thingies. Use one method for the majority, and then I have to like use a special thing for the other ones. It's just kind of a pain, but whatever. We'll figure that out next stream. Okay. That I definitely need to do that though, because there is a certain subset of the DLive community that has decided to make Valora sort of their home. It's kind of a small platform. I don't know why everybody is considering that platform. Others, I haven't necessarily heard the arguments. Maybe it's just because it's yellow and black and reminds them of DLive. I don't know, but I think they do have a pretty good staff there. I've heard rumors of on Discord. They're pretty responsive and stuff, so that's probably a big part of it, which is a pretty good vibe and reminds them of the early DLive days when the staff actually cared about what people said and stuff. But not to say that they don't anymore, but that took a really major hit a year or two ago or 5 years ago. I don't know when it was, but the culture kind of shifted away from that a bit. Became less community driven. Let's see. Doody. What was I doing? I don't even know. Kind of losing. Oh, I need to make sure that that audio device is connected. Let's use this one.
have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you.
Okay. So yeah, I just do a final listen through. Unfortunately, because of not the best GPU proxy generation and whatnot, this sometimes goes smoothly, sometimes it doesn't. It sounds like it's not going smoothly this time, so these gaps are not indicative of how the final file will sound in this case, because it has to slow down.
Joshua chapter 22.
See how it's slowing down to render. It's rendering the crossfade, but I think if I wait long enough, it kind of pre-renders those and it goes smoother, but it's not a big deal.
Then Joshua summoned the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh, and told them, You have done all that Moses the servant of the Lord commanded you, and you have obeyed my voice in all that I commanded you. All this time you have not deserted your brothers, up to this very day, but have kept the charge given you by the Lord your God. And
oh, I should put a message in there. Okay.
And now that the Lord your God has given your brothers rest as he promised them, you may return to your homes in the land that Moses the servant of the Lord gave you across the Jordan. But be very careful to observe the commandment and the law that Moses the servant of the Lord gave you, to love the Lord your God, to walk in all his ways, to keep his commandments, to hold fast to him.
I was just thinking, it's kind of funny, like this address here that Joshua, I think, is saying, just telling, kind of giving the 2.5 tribes that are staying on the east side of the Jordan like these extra warnings and admonition. What's that word? Admonition? That sounds weird. Anyway, he's giving them instructions. It sounds like they're never going to see each other again, but like when you think about it and you look at the map of Israel, it's like, well, there's a river there, yeah, but it's not like we'll never see each other again. It's just kind of funny, but in our modern times, like, well, just build a bridge or, it's not that big of a deal. It's just a river, but yeah, anyway, but back then it's a bigger deal, obviously, but.
And to serve him with all your heart and with all your soul. So Joshua blessed them and sent them on their way, and they went to their homes. To the half-tribe of Manasseh, Moses had given land in Bashan, and to the...
Oh, you know what? I've never actually streamed while doing this kind of editing. Let me check I haven't dropped any frames. That's surprising. But I'm guessing what is happening is that OBS is taking up most of the GPU, and this is probably reverting to CPU, and that's probably why it's so chunky. Because normally it's pretty smooth. But yeah, I've often worried about that. Like maybe I shouldn't even do video editing while streaming because it could crash OBS and whatnot. But so far I haven't dropped any frames, but it's definitely chunky. And I'm not sure about the actual render, what that'll do. It could totally crash OBS, but we'll see. I'll try it. That way I'll know for the future if I should do that or not.
and to the other half Joshua gave land on the west side of the Jordan among their brothers. When Joshua sent them to their homes, he blessed them, saying, "Return to your homes with your great wealth, with immense herds of livestock, with silver, gold, bronze, iron, and very many clothes. Divide with your brothers the spoil of your enemies." So the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh left the Israelites at Shiloh in the land of Canaan to return to their own land of Gilead, which they had acquired according to the command of the Lord through Moses.
This is also a pretty exceptionally long chapter, and that's why it took longer to edit, so that I have that excuse too. I think I've come to the conclusion that it's kind of a normal, kind of semi-short or just average is kind of like 3 minutes or so, and so these 6 or 8 minute long ones just take longer to do.
And when they came to Geliloth, near the Jordan in the land of Canaan, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh built an imposing altar there by the Jordan. Then the Israelites received the report, "Behold, the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh have built an altar on the border of the land of Canaan, at Geliloth near the Jordan on the Israelite side." And when they heard this, the whole congregation of Israel assembled at Shiloh to go to war against them. The Israelites sent Phinehas son of Eleazar the priest to the land of Gilead, to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh.
Slow divinity, yo. How's it going?
With him they sent 10 chiefs, one family leader from each tribe of Israel, each the head of a family among the clans of Israel. They went to the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh in the land of Gilead.
What you making? So, for the last, actually 2 years, but specifically since last July, I've been doing an outdoor Bible live stream series, just reading the entire Bible outdoors in different locations. And after the fact, I go back and like edit them down so I get rid of all my mistakes and kind of tighten them up for upload to YouTube. And so that's kind of what I'm doing now. I decided to just live stream them. I don't really like build a like really exciting, hyped up channel. I'm more of a low key kind of chill vibe streamer. I've always been that way. So I just kind of do the everyday kind of thing on my stream. Nothing too exciting going around here.
And said to them, "This is what the whole congregation of the Lord says."
And at the moment, I just did a edit on this chapter of the Bible, and I'm just kind of double checking it, make sure I didn't miss anything.
"What is this breach of faith you have committed today against the God of Israel by turning away from the Lord and building for yourselves an altar, that you might rebel against the Lord this day? Was not the sin of Peor enough for us, from which we have not cleansed ourselves to this day?"
Some of these, where I'm in the middle of the forest, are kind of unfortunate in the sense that you can't even tell that it's a video because like there's no breeze or anything moving, so it kind of looks like a still image. But yeah, some of them look more interesting if I'm some of my favorites are where I'm around a river or something. You can see the water moving, or there's a little breeze. You can see things moving around. This one looks particularly like I'm just still frame.
It even brought a plague upon the congregation of the Lord. And now you would turn away from the Lord? If you rebel today against the Lord, tomorrow he will be angry with the whole congregation of Israel. If indeed the land of your inheritance is unclean, then cross over to the land of the Lord's possession, where the Lord's tabernacle stands, and take possession of it among us. But do not rebel against the Lord or against us by building for yourselves an altar other than the altar of the Lord our God. Was not Achan son of Zerah unfaithful regarding what was set apart for destruction, bringing wrath upon the whole congregation of Israel? Yet it was not only Achan who perished because of his sin. Then the Reubenites, the Gadites, and the half-tribe of Manasseh answered the leaders of the clans of Israel. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. The Lord, the Mighty One, is God. He knows, and may Israel also know. If this was in rebellion or breach of...
Oh, that's interesting. I was talking about earlier, like it sounded like maybe they, I mean, I don't know, obviously, what their hearts were thinking, only God does, but it sounded like, oh, whoops, maybe we did something we should have, and then they came up with this kind of excuse or something. But it's cool that they say, he knows, and may Israel also know. So, like, they're claiming God is our witness, basically. We did this in good faith. So they're claiming that they're making the claim that they didn't just make this excuse up at the last second. They, from the very beginning, they had this motive in mind. I kind of missed that earlier. So I think we can trust that that's true.
faith against the Lord, do not spare us today. If we have built for ourselves an altar to turn away from him and to offer burnt offerings and grain offerings on it, or to sacrifice fellowship offerings on it, may the Lord himself hold us accountable. But in fact we have done this for fear that in the future your descendants might say to ours, what have you to do with the Lord, the God of Israel? For the Lord has made the Jordan a border between us and you Reubenites and Gadites. You have no share in the Lord.
You think God supports Israel nowadays with everything going on? I have no idea, to be honest. I don't know. I'm not very good with politics and they call it eschatology, kind of end times prophecy stuff. Somebody that's like really studied up on that kind of stuff would know how to better answer that, but that's not something I claim to be an expert on, and I'm definitely not into politics. And I don't know, even just from my own personal view or opinion, what I think, because I just try to stay out of that political commentary arena, because it just, whatever I say is kind of arbitrary anyway. It's kind of hard for it, I don't know where you are, but I'm here in the U.S. and we're fed a certain perspective from the news that we either believe or disbelieve based on our own personal biases, and it's hard to really get a feel for how things really are, because we don't have the locals' perspective of either Israel or Palestine or Iran or whatever. All the actual players that have more skin in the game, so to speak, and so I don't feel qualified at all to make those kind of judgments at all. Like, I have zero qualification. So my answer is 100%. I have no clue. I have no idea. But yeah, I try not even to come up with my own personal judgments about it, even in the privacy of my own mind, because I literally don't have a clue. And I also don't really watch the news. I'm just not really a news guy. I find it to be quite depressing. Plus, I can't really change it anyway. Like, I can talk about it and be informed and stuff, but I don't know. I kind of checked out of the news cycle and don't really get involved in politics. So, yeah, but I don't really have a problem with either answer. Like, people from either side have their own opinions on it, and I respect, either way. I just choose not to make a firm stance on it because I just don't have enough information. But yeah.
So your descendants could cause ours to stop fearing the Lord. That is why we said, let us take action and build an altar for ourselves, but not for burnt offerings or sacrifices. Rather, let it be a witness between us and you and the generations to come, that we will worship the Lord in his presence with our burnt offerings, sacrifices, and peace offerings. Then in the future your descendants cannot say to ours, you have no share in the Lord.
I personally have a hard time condoning war, even though I know it's necessary. Yeah, I think it sucks that war is necessary. And you could argue what is truly necessary, but when someone's threatening you in this way or that, then you have to respond with force. You can't always work it out by talking it out and stuff. It sucks that that's the case, and I don't know if there's ever really truly justification for it, but once again, since I'm not a leader of a country and I don't have all the intelligence at hand that they have in front of them with their secret documents and intelligence gathering, I can't judge those people in authority and say you've done wrong because I don't have the information that they have, and I can be skeptical and come to my own judgments and conclusions, but the chances that I'm correct are pretty slim. Like, what do I know? Like, who am I? I just don't really feel qualified to make those kind of judgment calls.
Therefore we said, if they ever say this to us or to our descendants, we will answer, look at the replica of the altar of the Lord that our fathers made, not for burnt offerings or sacrifices, but as a witness between us and you. Far be it from us to rebel against the Lord and turn away from.
Only way to defend war is if it's for self-defense from another country. I mean, that's how I see it. But yeah, that's generally my opinion too. I'm pretty much a pacifist, but I also, for example, I support the actions of. I mean, I don't just blindly support the actions of our government. That sounded like that was about what I was gonna say, but like I support the troops and yada yada. Of course, I don't think they should just go to war blindly and all that, but I'm not like one of those guys that's gonna be out holding signs and picketing against wars that I don't even understand. But yeah, my preference would be no war ever, just avoid it entirely. But yeah, it's pretty hard to figure all that out. I'm just glad I'm not the one making the decisions. I would never want to be in that position of authority.
Him today by building an altar for burnt offerings, grain offerings, or sacrifices, other than the altar of the Lord our God, which stands before his tabernacle. When Phinehas the priest and the chiefs of the congregation, the heads of Israel's clans, who were with him, heard what the descendants of Reuben, Gad.
God says we have the right to self-defense, but the line for that when it comes to a bigger scale, like countries, for example, is more blurred. Yeah, exactly, and I don't understand it at all. But yeah, it sounds like we generally have a similar point of view, but yep. All that politics and stuff is just outside my purview or my expertise, so I kind of avoid talking about it on streams and stuff just because I don't like to get into that kind of realm too much because it's kind of a divisive thing where everybody just gets mad at each other, and I like my streams to be more chill and focused on, I don't know, what I see as more practical things, but obviously some people view those things as important, but answer is to focus on your community more than the bigger picture. Yeah, I mean, I think so, but some people argue that, it's good to stay informed, and, for reasons like some people will even say, I want to watch the news because I want to know what to pray for or whatever, and I understand that, and if I hear about something, I try to keep it in my prayers, but I don't just watch the news all day long. I just find that to be very stress inducing and just, I don't know. Somebody has to worry about it, like the people who are doing the stuff and in charge of the country have to deal with that, but I don't want to be that person, to be honest. Maybe that sounds like I don't care, but I'm not strong enough to handle all that bombardment of negative information. Just too much for me to try to feel like I need to figure out.
Gad and Manasseh had to say, they were satisfied. Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, said to the descendants of Reuben, Gad, and Manasseh, Today we know that the Lord is among us, because you have not committed this breach of faith against him. Consequently, you have delivered the Israelites from the hand of the Lord. Then Phinehas, son of Eleazar the priest, together with the other leaders, returned to the Israelites in the land of Canaan, and brought back a report regarding the Reubenites and Gadites in the land of Gilead. The Israelites were satisfied with the report, and they blessed God and spoke no more about going to war against them to destroy the land where the Reubenites and Gadites lived.
Okay, looks like I'm doing pretty good.
The Reubenites and Gadites named the altar Witness, for they said, It is a witness between us that the Lord is God.
Cool. So, didn't make any mistakes. That's good. I'm kind of surprised because since I was live streaming, I was a little bit distracted, but looks like I did it right. Okay, so the other thing I like to do is, I have so many scripts, just like utility scripts that I've written. So this next one, I do AV bitrate / I Joshua 22 MP4. No, that's not right. What is it? AV stats. I renamed it. It used to be called that. Joshua 22 MP4. So what this tells me is the actual bitrate of the file, which is, in this case, pretty high, 8500. So that just tells me that when I re-encode it, I want to make sure I go at least that high so I'm not like losing massive information. So usually just bump it up. I don't have to go massively higher because I'm going from H.264 to H.265, which automatically has about 50% more information because it's a more efficient encoder. So I don't really have to go that high, but I like to just buffer it with a little extra. Okay, so let me just do this. This will be interesting. This could crash the stream or make me drop frames because I'm doing a live encoding, or I mean an encoding of a video file while live streaming through OBS and stuff. But I'm going to take the risk because this will tell me if I should do this in the future or not and how ridiculously slow it might be. It looks like it's going okay. I think it's slower than normal, but 4 minutes isn't the end of the world to wait. Ooh, I'm getting tired. I kind of still want to do what I originally planned, but I could do that as a separate stream. So what I originally had planned for this stream was to do like a special Bible reading. I set apart quite a few scriptures that I was just going to read through on a certain theme. And I might do that later because it's like super late at this point. And I should probably get some sleep. And I didn't really calculate even an approximation on how long it might take to read those special verses. And so maybe I'll save that for a separate stream later. This took way longer. It's crazy. Like, I'm kind of hoping that it won't take me this long to do editing. All good. Good night, bro. Thanks, man. Yeah, I'm not quite ready to end it, but I'll probably go pretty soon. Just getting tired. It's kind of annoying to me that when I live stream, everything takes longer because then I'm less efficient. Like if I were to do the same thing off stream, it wouldn't take nearly as long. So I wouldn't be all chatting about it and stuff. But at the same time, the longer I spend in scripture, the more I think about it and stuff. So it's sort of I think I'll have to figure out some reasonable limit. Like, I don't want to do all my editing on stream if it's going to massively slow me down, but maybe I'll do one a week, or, I don't know. I haven't figured that out yet, but normally I do all this off stream. This is the first time I've actually done my normal editing process on stream. Part of it was to just show anybody interested, or just for my posterity or looking back, remember where I was at in my streaming journey or doing stuff. But yeah, we'll see. The other thing is, whenever I'm doing something spiritual, I like to stream it just because it could have some blessing or effect on somebody else. It's kind of like the verse in Timothy where Paul tells Timothy to preach the word, and then he also talks about reading the word publicly, and I feel like that's kind of what I'm doing. That's part of my mission, I guess, because I'm not really a teacher. I don't think I have that like gift. I can talk about things that I think like anybody else, but I'm not like a pastor or an elder in a church or anything, just a regular Joe Christian. And but I can read the Bible, just anybody can do that. So that's kind of what my mission is, I guess. But I certainly did a lot of talking about it this stream. Okay, almost done here. Okay. So then we got the files. And then the next step I do, I delete this one. Wait a minute. Oh, I must have output that in the wrong folder because I don't see it there. Let's see. Export, where did it go? Shoot. Maybe it's out here? Yeah, there it is. Okay. Okay, so I delete this one, that one, and that one. And then do this. I could write a little script to do some of this stuff, but it doesn't take very long, so. And then I do one word hide file renamer. Which gets them into this specific format I like to use. And then the other thing I do is
Joshua chapter 22.
Okay, I better do this. Word height, thumbs. No, it's word height. SVG gen? I don't remember, honestly. Getting tired. Have to look it up. Oh, it's just word hike SVG. Word hike SVG grid. Okay, so that gives me this grid that I can figure out where I want to place the title, and I think we'll go with like 50 and 10. That'll work. Okay, so that generates this thumbnail that I use for like when I'm uploading to YouTube and stuff automatically and whatnot. And then all these other files that I use for other purposes. Kind of just archives everything in one step, does a ton of stuff. So that one is totally done. But yeah, I should have like done all 4 of those chapters, and I just did one. It took forever. Yeah, so I think I'm going to end the stream. I was going to do a special Bible reading at the end, but I'm like, no, it took too long and I need to get some sleep. So I'll do that another day. But the general idea that I was going to do is just read some verses related to it's not really related, but it's kind of a tangent that I went off into a personal study that I did regarding the end of DLive. So the platform DLive.tv is coming to a close. They announced that the end of this month, it will cease to exist or just go offline or whatever, unless they change their minds or something, but I'm not expecting that. So we just have a couple weeks. I started on DLive back in May of 2019, so I'll be really close to my 7-year anniversary when they go offline. But I'm a multi-streamer, so I'm on like a ton of different platforms, so it's not like a loss of my channel or anything crazy like that. And I don't really have that serious of a channel anyway, but I don't stream that much these days, but I'll still keep going. Just won't have that kind of old school home back in 2019 to maybe 2021 or so. It really, DLive kind of felt like my streaming home, and a lot of things changed since then. And then I started multi-streaming. I'll most likely do at least one more stream, maybe more, before the end of DLive. I just kind of wanted to get a couple last streams in for old time's sake, even if I'm not really doing anything like reviewing memories or like any kind of last stream stuff. It's just my ordinary streams, but I just kind of wanted to be on there one last time, couple times, say goodbye to some old friends, because some people will probably either stop streaming or move to different platforms, and we may or may not intersect. So this is kind of one of those last chances to say goodbye to certain people that I might not connect with anymore. So just wanted to be part of that. And also just wanted to say again, if you want to have some memories and stuff like that, go check out Elfsar, ELFSAR. He's on a lot of different platforms, but he's also on DLive, but he streams on YouTube and Twitch, I think, and Kick, and perhaps some other platforms that I can't think of right now, but he gets around kind of like me, and he's going to be doing a kind of a party celebration, reviewing some memories stream this Saturday, so in a couple days, Saturday the 18th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I'll probably be in chat just to say hi to people, and he's going to do like a panel with some old streamer friends from the old days coming by and remembering things and stuff like that. So if you want to stroll down memory lane with Elfsar and his community, check him out at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. I hope I said Pacific Standard Time the first time. I might have said Eastern, I don't know, but Pacific Standard Time, 2 p.m. on this Saturday. So I will end my stream, and I'll probably do another one before all that shakes down, but I'll catch you all later. Hopefully I'll get that Valora chat thing fixed, because that was annoying. But yeah, we'll catch you later.